Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
Well, the room is spinning a little bit. That's how I'm doing.
Oh,
Let me
Lord.
tell you why an open bar at that place.
You always ask for the open bar.
No, but we went to a really nice event tonight.
Because she crazy, y'all. She always wants the open bar.
Well, there was an open bar and I took advantage of it.
Yes, you did. And you had some wine, and I looked out for you.
You did. You looked out for
Yeah,
me.
so I don't
But
know if she's going to be able to take full responsibility for everything she says tonight. And we are going to make this a short pillow talk.
the room is spinning a little bit, but
Is
I'm
it?
okay.
Okay, okay. So everybody are welcome. I know that it's the middle of the night, but we decided we met some of you. We met some of you tonight who said that you watch. Excited to meet you and so inspired that we said, let's jump right back in. Let's jump in and start doing this more often because there's so many of you that show appreciation. We appreciate that. And you can also, even if you catch us online anywhere or you see something in Instagram, particularly, and you have a question you want us to address or an issue or a topic, don't hesitate to send us any topics that you think would be good to cover on a Pillow Talk. So I want to say hello to Robert Thompson and Kill the Captain. And do me a favor, give me a yes in the chat if you can hear us, okay? Let us know. Let us know if you can hear us. Hey, Lynette Perry, how are you? I'm going to make sure I'm coming through okay. And we're not going to go for too long because Alicia's ready for bed. Let's just say that. And I see Anthony Green and Ivy Yancey and Robert Thompson. Thank you for the yeses, Ivy and Robert. I appreciate that. All right, we know that it's late, and some of you are going to catch the recording. That's totally cool. But we just decided to go ahead and go live just whenever. We try to be free spirits in that way.
Yeah. So shout out to Julian Gordon and
Yes.
multifamily movement. That's
Yeah.
what's up.
We had a good time tonight. We were in New
Yeah.
Orleans, and that's us. We stayed at stayed at that fancy Shea Whitey hotel, the fancy smancy hotel, and then also that's a picture of me and my brother Lawrence who was here, and I love my brother very much, and that's Alicia Smiley. She's sitting next to D1. D1
Yeah.
is a buddy. He's like a relative actually.
And happy birthday to his date,
Yeah, what
Bree.
was her name? Bree. Yeah,
Yeah, her name
Bree.
is Bree, and today was her birthday.
Oh well, happy birthday to Bree.
That's
That's
right.
that's nice. Yeah, yeah. So we came down to New Orleans to have some fun, and we saw this thing online that we just had to address in the pillow talk. We thought it was really interesting, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. So I'm gonna read. I'm just gonna jump right into it. So the question is, I'm taking my boyfriend and our kids on a family vacation. He feels like I'm wrong for not including his kid. I told him he or his baby mother can pay for their kid if they want to go. I feel like that's not my kid, so that's not my responsibility. And then she says, "I'm a wrong." I think she's asking, "Am I wrong?" So, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think she's wrong, or do you think that it's okay for her to plan a family vacation to pay for her boyfriend and her kids? Which that right there is kind of interesting, right? Like, what is he contributing? But then she tells him, "You can't bring your kid. I'm only gonna pay for my kids and you."
No, I think she's saying you could bring your kid, but you got to pay for him.
Well, let's see. Wait, let's read it again. She says, "I'm taking my boyfriend and our kids on a family vacation."
So she's paying his way.
It sounds like she says, "I'm taking him on a family vacation." Yeah. He feel like I'm wrong for not including his kid. I told him he or his baby mother can pay for their kid if they want to go. Oh, so he's saying the kid can go, but she's not paying for
She ain't
everybody.
paying for
Well,
it.
I don't think she's wrong.
She ain't paying for him.
I don't think she's wrong because number one, I'm trying to figure out why your woman taking you on vacation like you wanted the kids. Like it's like,
There's
man,
nothing wrong with that though,
you got a
boys.
lady probably with, let's say she got three children, and you could easily be like, no, you really got four kids.
Okay, no, no, no.
Your boyfriend is one of the kids. This. I'm sorry.
I would. Let me
Go
just
ahead.
say, I would take you and your kid on vacation
But
with
I
us.
would not allow you to.
Yeah, but I would do it.
I
I
know
would.
you would, right? But I would not allow you to.
Okay, no, wait. Okay, let me just say, when I went to Guyana,
Hmm.
I did bring you with me to Guyana,
Yeah,
and
but you
if
did.
your child
But no, no,
wanted
no,
to
no, no,
come
no.
along, I would pay
No,
for
no, 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 no,
them.
no, 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 no. Let's be clear. Let's keep this on the record. Dr. Boyce always had his own money. I was a millionaire when we got together, so let's not even play like
Yeah,
that.
but it
Because you
didn't
know,
matter.
because the internet will run away with crazy rumors. Like they seriously, like I no 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 no. I had my own money, and no, I would don't no 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 no
But it
no.
wasn't really my money. It was the government's money.
Well, yeah, but either way though,
And I was still like, I'm taking
no,
you
just
and
as a matter of pride, I would never ever be included in any paragraph that involves somebody like my woman paying for me to like
really?
go on a vacation. No, I just don't do it. No, it's not
Oh,
appropriate.
come on.
So here's the deal. So with this guy, so she's saying that she's taking her boyfriend. Well, first of all, it's a boyfriend, so it's not a husband, which means that it's a different kind of relationship. That right now, if she was taking her
Ooh.
husband on a trip and her husband had a child, then that would seem more appropriate for her to expect. Like what hers is, what's his is
Well, if
mine.
you're married, then it's both of them paying for it, really.
Yeah, I mean, when you're married, I feel like it's like if when you spend money, I'm spending money. When I spend money, you're spending money because we're in it together,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe that's an argument in favor of some kind of commitment because she has no commitment for this man. Like this is her boyfriend,
Ah.
and I think this is kind of the backdrop or the problem when you have just these chaotic, confusing family situations. Anyway, everybody's like, well, no, that's mine. And I remember one time 20 years ago, I dated a girl, and we were at Best Buy, and I left my wallet at home, and I said, hey, can I borrow $50, and I'll pay you when I get back to the dorm. It was like that. I was in graduate school, and she said no. And I said, why not? She said, because it's mine. It's my money. I said, yeah, but I'm gonna give it right back to you. Like, what are you talking about? And I remember that made me so mad. I was like,
Yeah, you
wow,
should have been
because I
mad.
would have
Did
glad.
you dump her after that?
Yeah, well, she wasn't that pretty anyway. I didn't like her that much.
An ugly lady wouldn't do it.
Right, exactly. You ugly, so you need to be pulling out your whole wallet. You need to pay for all of this.
So she thought she was doing you a favor being with
I
you.
have no idea. I don't. It's all Black history at this point.
Interesting.
So what do you guys think? So here's what I'm when I dissect this, I'm gonna read this again. I'm taking my boyfriend and our kids on a family vacation. So our my boyfriend and our kids. So that means that she's got kids with this man.
Mm-hmm.
Which is I think that there's some old school people who would say it's not like why are you having all these children with a man you're not married to that. But then again, maybe the options aren't there. I don't know. He feels like I'm wrong for not including his kid. So we got our kids and his kid. So, okay, that's
Mm.
interesting. I told him he or his baby mother can pay for their kid if they want to go. So she's saying he can go, but I'm not paying for that lady's kid.
She don't have enough money. She ran out of money.
You
She's
think
like, I
so?
only have enough money for all of us. I hadn't really planned on another person.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When I put on my finance professor hat, one of the things I can say for sure is one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of Black economic intelligence and financial literacy is that when you're smart about money then you tend to have more money, and when you have more money you don't run into problems like this. Like you're not going to fight people over money. Like if I got
Mhm.
like just this for example, when we're going out of town for an extended period of time, one of our girls asked if her friend could go, and money didn't even cross my mind. It wasn't like, oh, well, that's another mouth to feed. We got, if we go to McDonald's now, we got to pay for three kids instead of or four kids instead of three. We're not thinking that way because we're financially secure, right? And I think that's a big reason, for parents to put their children in a financially secure position because, when the money problem is kind of gone, you can make decisions based on what you actually want to do, as opposed to fighting over money.
Or maybe she's just not that into him.
Maybe,
Maybe she's just like, I don't really care for him so much. So I ain't paying for this child. I don't see any future in this.
maybe. I don't know. All I know is it sucks for the kids, and that's another problem.
Yeah.
Like when we have these crazy, confusing family situations,
Mm-hmm.
it's confusing as hell for the kids. The kids are just like, I just want to go to Disneyland like
Yeah, they
everybody
don't.
else, and they don't know why. And I get
Oh.
that. I under down that I understand because I know. even though my father, I had my biological father, and then I had my stepfather who raised me, but he's really my father, and I didn't even notice that they saw me differently from the other cousins.
Who saw you?
His side of the family, they
Ah,
loved me. I was cool. I fit in, but I didn't quite fit in completely the way they did. You know,
you felt like
it,
an outsider.
no, not really. I mean,
Okay.
it's just more like little things I look back on where they did things differently for them than they did for me. It was
Ooh.
because I wasn't their kid. It was my father's job to be paying for me, not my dad who raised me. Like, but he just took that responsibility on. But the point is that, like, kids don't know that. Kids don't know the difference between the adults that are responsible for them and the ones who are not responsible for them. So I think we as adults should be empathetic to that. Like, to me, it's like, even if the kid knows, I might tell the kid, look, I'm not your daddy, but if there's something that the daddy would provide that isn't expensive for me, I would probably provide it. The
Yeah.
kid needs food. We gonna feed this kid.
Yeah,
I,
I do. I agree with you. I think that you need to treat all the children the same. So,
yeah,
like everybody, no matter what, because you think about it, like your household has a certain income, but then your child's household, if they don't live with you, they have another income level.
yeah,
So if you have more money than they do, you really don't need to let them feel it. Like
yeah,
when they're at your house, everybody needs to get the same amount of money. Everybody gets needs to get the same amount of food. And everybody needs to go on the same vacation together and not say, well, because you're less than in terms of economics at your mama house, you can't come over here and live like everybody else,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
you do need to have a commitment that everybody gets treated equally, and that's what I like about black families, because
hmm,
for the most part, it's I see black families really saying no, everybody gets treated the same,
right,
mostly.
yeah. And I just wish we would do a little more Planned Parenthood. That's it. Everybody talks about Planned Parenthood when it comes to abortion, but don't nobody talk about Planned Parenthood when it comes to having a baby. More
Yeah.
babies are born than there are aborted, and I think, if I'm not mistaken. And to me, when you talk about planning it, don't create a shit show for your family. Like, if you have structure and all the kids have the same mama and the same daddy and they live in the same household, it's easy to have a uniform
Mm.
procedure. But if you don't, you get into these stupid debates that drive me crazy. Like, well, if I buy McDonald's for my son, I'm not gonna buy McDonald's for them other kids. First of
Did you
all,
see that story, boys?
yeah, I did. But that was actually, they said that was a skit. That wasn't actually.
I thought it was for real.
No, I think it was a skit.
No, it wasn't a ski. No, when the lady was on and she said that her baby, wait,
Her
when
baby, he bought the McDonald's and he
he
didn't.
brought McDonald's for
Yeah,
his child,
but that,
but
I
he
don't.
didn't buy McDonald's for
Yeah,
everyone else.
but I don't
No,
think.
that was
No,
real.
look it up. I think it was a skit. But either way, it led to a deep conversation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so my point is to say, when you don't do good Planned Parenthood, you end up having those stupid conversations. Like, if
What do
I,
you mean by
it becomes,
Planned Parenthood?
it means having a plan for your life. I don't know why. I think that hip hop just screwed up the brains of black people so bad that some of us, not all of us, but some of us really believe you're supposed to go through life without a plan, without being prepared for a disaster, or being prepared for difficult situations. Because a little planning would lead to two things. One, if you make a plan, you could be financially secure, so that by the time you're having kids, you're not deciding which kid gets to eat McDonald's and which one doesn't. Because paying for McDonald's ain't a big deal when you got streams of income or
Or
business or investments.
by the way, let me just add something in there. I do want you to continue with what you're saying, but the thing is that I'm not certain going to McDonald's is the best nutritional
Well,
meal plan
I
for your
mean,
family.
shit. Kids like McDonald's. I love McDonald's. How many of y'all like McDonald's when you were a kid? I know y'all probably. Some of y'all probably don't
I
eat it
like
now.
McDonald's, but my parents
Don't
never
lie.
bought me
Don't
McDonald's.
lie. Well,
Do you know my parents never bought me
I
McDonald's?
consider that to be a form of abuse.
I think so too.
That's
You need to
neglect.
talk to my parents about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't know. Anybody else remember begging your mama for McDonald's money? And she said,
She never got me.
I ain't got no McDonald's money." And then
No.
you see a $20 bill hanging out of her purse, and you would just get so mad because you could buy like French fries and a burger for like $2.50 at that time.
Yeah, my mom was like, I'm not paying $3 for a burger.
Right, and that's just abuse.
She cooked. My mom cooked every day.
Well, your mom kept you healthy too. Like it's probably not like a badge of honor that my mama took me to McDonald's. But either way
You
though,
were so rich.
I didn't like that whole debate where it's like you got your children fighting over scarce resources because you didn't make a plan for your life. You're bringing kids into this damn world. You ain't got a pot to piss in. You haven't. There's no structure there. You got babies, mamas everywhere, baby daddies everywhere. Like I really just think that we need to declare war on broken family. On the broken family structure.
Hmm.
Like I'm not on broken families, not on single mothers, not on single dads. I don't. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we gotta really just kind of just understand like a lot of these situations are preventable and you got to get help, get your therapy, get your mentorship or whatever. But and I don't know what did it, but just there's like a decay in the thinking and the planning. So what happens is that when you have a chaotic situation where it's like you got four kids coming into the world, it's like, and each kid is like, well, your daddy does this and my daddy does that. Every kid got a different daddy. Everybody's daddy treats them different. I got McDonald's, you ain't getting no McDonald's because your daddy's in prison. That's just a mess.
Yeah,
It's just a damn
it
mess.
is. And I really think that if there's not enough income or if there's not enough money for everybody, then we don't go.
Hmm.
If we can't afford for all of us to go on this vacation, then none of us get to go.
Yeah,
Or if we can put our resources together so that everybody gets to go, then we all get to go.
yeah.
Like that would be great family planning. Because I mean things happen. Things happen, boys.
Yeah. So let me go and let me pull back. By the way, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm a finance professor. My wife, Alicia, is a licensed therapist who has been seeing couples for many, many years, and she's also a full professor of social work. So what we like to do is have intelligent conversations surrounding areas related to love and money and everything in between. If you'd like to learn more about what Dr. Alicia does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. And also, if you'd like some free resources on drama free lifestyles when it comes to money and relationships, just visit boyceandalicia.com. We have free resources that you can pick up. Also, you can subscribe to the platform there. All right, so let me just kind of read this one more time and I'm going to give a summary on my response. And I like your summary, babe. Okay, you ready?
Hmm.
You ready? All right, here we go. So I'm gonna read this question, and then I'm gonna give my quick response. What I would say to this young lady if I was talking to her. I'm taking my boyfriend and our kids on a family vacation. Okay, that's why I interrupt and I say, you should not be taking him on family vacations. He should be chipping in. Like I would just say, like, what is his contribution, or are you paying for everything? That right there sets the wrong
Well,
precedent.
I think it's her idea. Maybe the vacation is her idea and she's sparking
Yeah, I get
the
it.
whole vacation.
I get it, but he should still contribute. I just feel that that's just important. I believe in a little bit in gender roles, and I think as a man, it
Yeah.
should be a little embarrassing to him if she's paying for everything,
Well, she's like, it's
including
my idea. I pay
right.
for it. That's what it's gonna be.
Right. So
Okay.
here's what's interesting. So she says he feels like I'm wrong for not including his kid. I told him he or his baby mother can pay for the kid if they want to go. So what's really happening with him is he's seeing a transfer of power. This is what happens when men get emasculated and women become the masculine creatures in the family. It's when the man converts himself into what Dolores Jones refers to as the hobosexual. The hobosexual is the guy who is there to have sex with the woman, but he's bumming off her financially. That is not in a man's nature. It is not in a man's nature for you to be broke, laid up with a woman, taking all the goodies and not contributing to the household. You get your ass up there and you work. You go find a way to contribute something. So basically, by her taking the reins and paying for everything, and him allowing this to happen, he's lost power.
Well,
So
I
now,
don't. Yeah, that's very interesting. So I'm not certain if he's allowing her to do it. She's just doing it.
well, either way, it seems like just it's a weird kind of almost backward scenario, and just the idea that he would even expect that he could just bring this child in from this other whole other relationship and expect his girlfriend to cover the cost.
Well,
That's kind of crazy.
what's wrong with the woman making more money? Maybe she makes more money than he does. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with the woman making more money, but there is a problem when the man makes no money. I think the man should contribute something.
Mm-hmm.
Just to the point where he could at least say, okay, I will allow you to pay for things, but I'm here if you need me. If you need me to have your back, I got you. And if it does get disrespectful, like where she's talking down on him or whatever because she's paying for everything, and I've seen that happen. I knew a lady who was a corporate executive. She was married to a guy that worked at the post office. She was paying for everything, so she became very disrespectful toward him. I think resentful
Really?
because she wanted more for the household, and she couldn't get it because he worked at the post office. Well, also it turned out at the same time that he had girlfriends like all over the city. He was just, he wasn't.
You know that happens. There's research studies on that.
Mm-hmm.
That men who make less money than their spouse tend to cheat
Mm-hmm.
because it's almost like they lose their sense of manhood, and that like having extramarital relationships is a way for them to establish their manhood. That's a consistent study across the board
Mm-hmm.
that tends to happen. But what's more likely to happen? I'm not saying it happens for everybody.
Yeah, that kind of sucks, I guess.
And it's like that specifically for black men.
Hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. So I think that if I were her father, I'd probably say, well, what is he contributing? And then I would probably look at him and say, why do you expect her to pay for you and also pay for your child? It's bad enough that she's paying for you and you're paying nothing. It's even worse when you're trying to bring these other people along. And then this child, unfortunately, if they don't have parents that are willing to cover their cost, how's that child gonna feel? When you
Well,
say
child's
you
gonna
can't.
feel terrible. It's
Yeah.
like they're siblings. These children are siblings to each other. I mean, it could be a different mother, but they still are blood relatives.
Hmm.
And why not include everybody?
Yeah.
As many people as you can conclude.
Well,
Why not make that sacrifice so that everybody's available? And maybe she's like, hey, let's all put our money together. Ask his mama. Ask his mama, the baby mama, to put her money together. Let's all of us put our money together so we can go.
yeah. Well,
You know?
either way, I wish them the best. And anybody listening, if you haven't had kids or yet, or you're thinking about your future, just remember people who have a plan tend to be in a better position than people who don't have a plan. And if you
Mm-hmm.
are stuck, if you are stuck and you're not sure what to do, there are people out there that can help you. There are books out there you can read. There's courses you can take. There's stuff on YouTube University. I would encourage you, like, get the information, man. Like, don't live your life like these people that are making one mistake after another, and then they walk around talking about how sad they are. Be smart, have a plan. That to me, that's what I call Planned Parenthood. Down.
Yeah, but the plan has to be together. Like you and your spouse have to come together and decide, okay, how are we going to manage these children?
Hmm.
What are going to be the rules when we go on vacation, when we go out to eat? It doesn't have to be vacation. When we do things together, when who are we going to involve?
Hmm.
Christmas time, everybody needs to get the same amount of gifts. You don't want one set of children to get gifts and then the other set of kids don't get no gifts.
Right. That's just trifling.
I mean, I don't think that's fair for the
I
children.
think it's demonic for a parent to do that and take better care of one child than the other. Like they're
Yeah.
literally setting those poor kids up for a lifetime of
And
pain.
kids notice. Kids, you think children don't notice?
Oh,
They
kids
notice
notice.
who gets more and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that creates such animosity, and then you feel like you're less than, and
Hmm.
and it creates like a problem between the children.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's say
Yeah.
Don Scott says Dr. Boyce, you called it right about Elon Musk backing out of that Twitter deal. Yeah, that writing was on the wall, Don. But what I do think is going to happen is it's very rare for a company to be able to back out of a merger plan. What he's trying to argue is that Twitter just had I think it's a materially adverse effects. I think they call it MAE, and it's very rare that you can win a lawsuit based on MAE. So what's probably going to happen is they're going to force him to buy Twitter, but he's going to pay a lower price. So.
What is up with Elon Musk? Like I think he's got commitment issues. Like it
um,
seems like his personal life and the fact that he married that lady twice and he's got all these baby mamas. I'm sorry, Elon Musk has got how many baby mamas now?
Probably about four. I don't know.
4 or 5 baby mamas. There's something with him when it comes to like commitment and when it comes to him like following through with his plans. Like this whole deal with Twitter to me, it just mirrors his entire interpersonal relationships.
Well, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, maybe
Like
he's
there's something to that.
well. You know, I mean, there probably is. I
You
don't.
don't think so, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I mean, I see it with him. I expect almost anybody that's done what he's done to be a little weird, like or a guy like say a Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's mentally disturbed because he had to have some kind of pain that fueled his passion. So
Mm-hmm.
with Elon Musk to work as hard as he works and do all the stuff that he's doing, I know that feeling. Just being in beast mode all the time when it comes to work, it creates a distorted personal life. When I used to just work nonstop, I had a very distorted, very imbalanced personal life.
You
You
feel
know,
you're more balanced now? Do you feel like because you're married that you're a little more, you've lost your edge? Have you lost your edge, boys?
well, I
Have I
did.
softened you now?
Well, the thing is, I probably, but the thing is, I was intentional about that. Again, I make plans. I make 5, 10 year plans for my life. So my 10 year plan was in my 40s, I want to settle down and get married and live like regular people. In my 30s, I didn't want to do that. In my 30s, I was single. I was happy being single. I was not looking to marry anybody.
Wait, if
Um,
we dated in your 30s, are you trying to say you wouldn't marry all of this? You
um,
wouldn't want to put a ring on this,
well, I think you're gorgeous, and I love you.
but you wouldn't want to commit to me? What's up with that?
I can't say I wouldn't. I would just say I would be reluctant because it was hard in my third. Because I mean, if you're working 10, 12 hours a day and you just don't want anything to get in the way of that, like in that stage of my life, it was better for me to have a pure life where I could literally just focus all my energy on my goals.
You
And
don't think you could like get married to me and then have children back
um,
then in your 30s?
well, the thing is that marriage requires a lot of energy on its own. It's like, I mean, marriage really is like a project in itself. I don't know how many married people are in here, but like you got to really be ready to commit yourself to all the shit that just comes with like, managing a family. It's hard work, so I just didn't at that time feel like it would be something that would be good for me based on the fact that I was so overly I had these unfulfilled desires. Like I wanted to succeed at the highest levels. I wanted to be
There are a
really
lot
good.
of successful men who got married in their 30s and they haven't been able to do it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of those men are also in divorce court, and I didn't want to end up in divorce court. So because I had a lot of friends who were divorced, so I just said, okay, instead of dragging another person through all this, especially being an entrepreneur, where 1 month you got money, next month you're broke, then you got money again, then you're broke. I didn't want to spend time arguing with my wife and having to.
So we couldn't go on vacation and bring all the kids with us.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I preferred to get
I'll
married.
take you on
Yeah,
vacation.
yeah, I
I
want to.
was making good money
But
back then.
I wanted to get married once I was financially secure. So like now, see, here's the thing, right? So when you and I got married, I was in my late 40s. I had already achieved almost all my every goal I ever had, every dream I ever had. I achieved almost all of them, and I had money. I had plenty of money in the bank.
I don't get it.
So
I
it
don't know. Like, I don't know why men feel like they can't get married until they got their money a certain way. Like,
um
I don't get that.
well
That's
because
not what we as women really want.
because men I can't speak for all men. I can only speak for ambitious men. Ambitious men, we feel like punks when we don't have what we need. Like when you want to win, when you have that hunger, you don't want to walk around like like a little handicapped kid. You
That's
know,
not handy. See, we as women, we just love you anyway.
I know you love us anyway, but the thing is,
And
but you can stress us out if we're like if the money ain't right.
no,
What
we do
women
not.
let me just say this: when I wrote that book Financial Lovemaking and I interviewed dozens of women about their financial situation, I learned without a doubt that financial instability really affects women emotionally.
Okay,
They
so,
do not like it. So, and remember
uh
this:
huh.
as an entrepreneur, my life was very financially unstable in the beginning, and I didn't want to drag another person through that. My brother, I dragged him through it because he's very stable. He's very cool. He's not going to harass me. He's not going to be like, well, we didn't pay the mortgage and where's the money? You need to stop this pipe dream. He didn't do all that. He just say, okay, well, so the car got repossessed. All right, well, at least we got another
No.
car.
Listen, what I'm saying is that you live within your means no matter what. So
Mm-hmm.
there are plenty of entrepreneur families in their 30s. that are up and coming, and they are married and they have
Hmm.
families,
Hmm.
and they're able to live within their means, below their means, so that they can be a little more risky in their business. So I'm saying is that there's a lot of balance that's there, and men need to stop thinking that they're only worthy of being a husband when they have money,
Well,
because that's not really
well,
what
then,
us as women
well,
really
then also
want.
sometimes, like when you're younger, it's the monogamy thing is a lot harder to do when you're in your
Well,
20s and 30s.
that would be for
That's
you.
well, no, I think I from all my male friends that I know, many of them have had,
You have to speak for yourself though.
No, no, I know. I'm speaking for my friends and the guys I know. It's like, I think that that's worth putting on the table. So I think if you're not interested in monogamy, which I don't know, I can't say I was super interested in it when I was in my 20s. It wasn't like I was trying to just
I'm talking about
run the
30s.
streets. 30s, there's still a little bit of that in you, but it's more so like I just believe you should make your own choice. The feminists get to say, do what they want to do and say what they want to say. Well,
How so?
they just get
How so?
they run around. They say my body, my choice, and all that. Well, I
No,
said,
they don't. There's a
I
lot of
said,
people who say that.
well, I said my,
That's not a
well, I said,
tie.
well,
That's not
my motto,
saying that is not
my
tied to a
motto,
certain
but my
label.
right,
A
but
lot of people feel
okay,
that way.
my motto was my life, my choice. So
Mhm.
when people would say, "Well, why aren't you married yet?" I say, "Well, why don't you go get married? I don't want to get married. I don't need to get married. I'll get
Mhm.
married when the time is right." So my plan, I had a plan. My plan in my early 30s was, I'm going to spend my 30s working my butt off so I can achieve my goals without being deterred. I don't want to have to talk. I don't have to explain it to anybody. I don't want to have to get anybody's cosign. I want to just do this and do it right. And so I did that. And then I said, okay, now that I'm in my 40s, I want to go and live a little bit more of a normal life because I don't want to live like this forever. Because I know
Mhm.
that, you get it.
That's very retroactive. You just kind of fit. You have fit what's happened into what you say you really wanted.
Oh, no, I used to
But
say,
I used to. But
no,
you were engaged to be
I
married
wasn't
in your
getting. I
30s.
certainly was, right.
You would
But
you would have
here,
been faithful to
right,
that lady.
right. But here's the thing about the engagement in my 30s, right? I wanted to marry her, and I thought she was awesome. But when she wavered and said, "I don't think I want to marry you," I didn't talk her out of it. I was like, "Okay, no problem," and it was fine. It wasn't like I was
Hmm.
determined, right? So the point of the matter though is
Wait,
that
so she was a little lukewarm on you or something? What'd you say to
I
her?
don't know. I don't want to talk
You
about it.
said something to her that made her
Well, I don't.
lukewarm.
I would rather not talk about it. But the point is that, that at the end of the day, I made my choice for my life. I had a plan for my life, and it was the life. It was the plan that I
Hmm.
executed. And sure, I could have got married in my 30s, but I didn't. And and in my 40s, I was like, okay, now I want a different experience. So I personally think people have the right to make the choice they need to make. And one of the things I always tell guys, and this is where people thought that I didn't like Kevin Samuels, and that's not true. I thought Kevin Samuels was smart in some areas, but in
How so?
well, he was logical. He's very logical, very intelligent man. He just learned that being mean and harsh was going to get him a lot of views on YouTube, and that was the part that I just disagreed with, where I was like, I don't think you have to tell people they're going to die alone to make your point. I think you can make your point without.
You bring him up in a lot of discussions, I noticed.
Yeah, right, right. So my point is to say that, like, the guys thought that I didn't like Kevin because I was warning them. I said, look, when you're in your 40s and 50s, you probably shouldn't try to date like you did in your 20s and 30s. A lot of these guys think they ain't never gonna get old. They swear they want to be players for life. And you see it with rappers sometimes. That's why you see these rappers that'll die at 45 years old or have strokes at 42, 43, because you smoking, drinking, and living wild like you did when you were 25 and your body can't take it no more. And I think that's what killed Kevin. He died of a heart attack because you 57. You out here.
Nobody's making you a home cooked meal.
Yeah,
He was just a single man
right
living
at
in a
57.
way that wasn't
Right at 57, in
okay.
my view, your goal, you know, I don't know. Again, I'm not speaking down on anybody, but I will say, if you met this lady 24 hours before you died, you don't want to die in the arms of a lady you just met. Not at no 57 years old. Now, if you're 27, hey, that's different. Well, you're 57, you're almost 60. That means your life has to evolve, and I think that black men have to grow up. The smart men are the ones who kind of say, like the guy we met today, Vernon out of Alabama. Who, so let me tell you about Vernon. So I met this guy. I was standing on the corner in New Orleans, right? We're headed over to the hotel. And a guy stops his truck and he says, "Hey, Dr. Boyce." I said, "Hey, brother, how you doing?" And he said, "Hey, man, I listen to you. I listen to, oh, Dr. Alicia, I listen to y'all's people talk." Right? So me and Bernard are just chopping it up, going back and forth. Coolest guy in the world. He's in the pickup truck. I'm waiting for an Uber. And I said, "Hey, man, can you give us a ride?" And, that way we can keep talking. In the end, we can get a ride to the hotel. And he said, "Sure." So we got in the car with Vernon. Check this out. Vernon has been married 33 years. He served as a U.S. Marshal for a long time. He's a retired U.S. Marshal, retired military. Shout out to everybody in here that served the country. I appreciate you. He had a ton
And
of
the Air Force.
he had a bunch of money in his
Hmm.
401k. I won't tell you what the amount was, but he was doing good, and he also had started buying property. And he literally actually told me that he said, "You were the reason I quit my job." And I said, "Man, wow, that's amazing." And to me, I liked, what I liked about Vernon?
Hmm.
You know what I liked about him?
What was that?
He was a grown ass man.
Yeah,
He was a man who had
yeah,
made,
but he was married 30 years and he
right.
was fine with that.
Okay, that's true
I
too.
mean, he flies in the face of everything that you
That's
just have
no, no,
sitting
no,
here
no, no,
talking
no, no, no,
about.
no, no. But what I'm saying to you, though, right? You're
By
right.
the way,
Okay, excellent point. Excellent point.
so you're
Excellent.
not speaking for all men.
Excellent point. I'm not speaking for all men,
Okay.
but I am saying my point with Vernon is to say that Vernon is a guy who lived his life as a grown ass man. He didn't, he didn't just
He's not
because
immature.
what they do is they end up like hip hop music convinces a lot of black men to live like teenagers. Like it just kind of presents these 40-year-old guys running around here like little kids. And you see it on the internet. You see 45, 50 year olds arguing like little children. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. And I just really think as black people, we have to raise the bar. So
Hmm.
overall, long story short, I don't think anybody has to be forced to be married because marriage is hard. And I think people should do it if they want to do it. If they don't want to do it, they shouldn't be pressured to do
I
it.
don't think marriage is hard. I think the people who get married sometimes make it difficult,
Either way.
more difficult than what it has to be. And I think that we bring so much of our baggage. A lot of us have baggage. So, like this lady with this pillow talk, this lady and this her boyfriend, they're bringing their baggage into the relationship. So it's not the marriage that's difficult or relationships that are difficult. It's really just what you bring to it and your background and some of your triggers and some of your issues you bring into the relationship.
Yeah,
How could you not?
I think that it's just hard in the world we live in. I think we live in a world that encourages people to be selfish and to want what they want and to believe that if you can't get what you want in your relationship, then you should end and you
Why
should
can't you get
end it.
why can't you and your spouse get what you want? Like boys,
No,
why
no, no.
can't we be fabulous with ourselves with each other?
I think we can.
And
I think
why can we not live?
because human beings are not the same, and
No, it's your
two
mind.
people may have different goals. So the man may say, "I believe I want to be." To me, freedom means this. If the woman may say, "Well, if you do this, then I'm going to divorce you because that means you're mistreating me," right? And so I mean, so ultimately, I think overall, it's easier in a selfish world for people to find their bliss individually. But what I think they forget is that if you can humble yourself to be
Hmm.
part of a collective, you can get a whole lot more done. Like it's easier,
Hmm.
like so like this single parenting thing. It's really hard to be a single parent. It's hard to be a single mother. It's hard to be a single father.
Well, it's easier to be a single mother than it is to be in a relationship where there's abuse.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, I mean,
and
where
that's the
there's
thing. But that's the
abuse,
thing
and
that
if not, it's not a nurturing environment for the children and for everybody involved.
well,
I mean, so we can't just cookie cutter we can't cookie cut these answers into these families. You know, the people who are together, we have to be able to say to them, you know, what are the agreements in your relationship? What are your two of you got to put your heads together and make rules for the relationship, and you got to follow through, and you got to trust that the other person's going to do that and respect you.
yeah, but I think the word abuse is overused. I really
No,
do.
there is a such thing as
No, no, no.
abuse.
I didn't say it's
That's
not.
an
No,
actual
no, no. I
word.
didn't say that
It's
it's
a
not. I
real
didn't. No, no,
thing.
no, no, no. Listen, I did not say it's not real. I said it's overused because I've seen people use the word abuse to simply describe the fact that they were mad that they didn't get what they wanted.
Okay,
You know,
so
or
that's
or
not
or
abuse.
seriously, like, and
That's
you
clearly not
and
abuse.
rarely, and it's usually the
I've
one,
heard people use abuse just by talking. If someone's saying something, just because you're talking and running your mouth, that's not abuse.
right?
Abuse is a real thing. Like
Yeah,
abuse is when you are in a relationship and in the midst of anger toward the other person, you put them down, you call them names, you hit them, you strike them, you yell at them, you do these things to them where you put them down and you feel like you're better than them. That's abuse.
right.
You
And
know,
but
so you're
and
right.
I don't think every allegation of abuse fits those criteria. I think that when you start getting into, I've just heard so many people say, "Oh, he was verbally abusive," and
Verbally
and
abusive is a thing.
I know it's a thing. Listen,
Uh-huh.
you're not listening to me. What I'm saying to you is that when people say, "Oh, he was verbally abusive or emotionally abusive,"
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy who says, "Explain that. Like, tell me what you mean by that," because
Mm-hmm.
if I know that person well, I might say, "Well, no, you're calling it abusive because he stood up to you. He told you he wasn't going to do what you told him to do, so you define that to be abusive."
Okay, so that's not abusive, of course. But abuse, there's actual different forms of abuse, and there's actually definitions of abuse. There's total disrespect and total disregard for another person. So for
Okay,
sure that's not tolerable at all in relationships.
right. I agree.
You really should put an end to that because it's just not a good outcome.
Well, I would definitely say that
Hmm.
it's easier for me to believe somebody's abused if there was something physical that happened. If somebody's talking about emotional abuse, I think there has to be a deeper discussion of, like, what exactly do you mean? What
Yeah,
exactly
well,
happened?
emotional.
Because I've just seen people claim emotional abuse when really the person claiming to be the victim was actually the perpetrator.
Okay.
They
Well,
would,
that happens
or
all the
they or
time.
you push somebody's buttons so much that they eventually respond to you, and then you say,
Hmm.
"Oh, you're abusing me." Well,
Well,
stop. Well,
abuse.
stop. Stop.
Hmm.
No, I'm just telling you. I know a guy who was a super nice guy, very kind, and his wife just kept nagging him and nagging him and nagging him. And one day he just, like, blurted out, like, "Stop it! Get the hell
Okay, so
out of my face."
emotional abuse. I just want to just jump in
Hmm.
here and just say, emotional abuse is when you hurt your partner's feelings, and the person is saying, "Okay, you hurt my feelings," and then your partner's like, "I don't give a fuck if I hurt your feelings. I don't care." You know what I mean? It's like, I don't care. So what? I hurt your feelings. So what? I called your name. So what? I said these things about you. I don't really care that you're hurt. So total disregard for your partner's feelings. That's emotional abuse.
Yeah,
Okay.
I tend to live in a world where I just believe that if you leave people
You
alone,
should care about other
if
people.
you let people just be, I think things are easier. And I think that sometimes we get in scenarios where people want to tell other people how to live
Well, you
and
can't do that.
what to think and what to do and what's appropriate and all
Hmm.
that. And I just really think that that doesn't really work.
Hmm.
So
Well, definitely. In relationships, you don't want to, it can't just be one person calling the shots or another person calling the shots. It's a negotiated thing where two people get together and they say, how are we going to do this? And then they come to an agreement. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they agree to it. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they agree to it. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they agree to it. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they agree to it. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they agree to it. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they agree to it. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then they agree to it.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, man?
I'm trying to wake up. I just want to dedicate this podcast to all the mamas. They got to watch over their kids this summer.
all
Keep
the
up with them all.
all the mamas. Isn't that
Man,
what Outcast said?
yeah, I get it. It's like what I have crust in my eye. Thank you for taking
Yeah,
that out.
yeah. You have, it's almost like you have my eyelashes on your face or
Oh,
something.
gee.
I don't know how that happens.
I'm telling you. Anyway, you clear your throat, boys. I got to wake up.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. So this is our sleep voice, and in case you're new, welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. This is where my therapist wife and I get together and we have fun, intelligent conversations about things that matter for our people, particularly areas of relationships. My wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, and you guys know my doctor's in finance, and so we found so many overlaps in the whole love and money category that it's really utterly fascinating. Just the psychology of it. By the way, shout out what city you're from. Let us know what city you guys are from. I see Terry Cobb. Terry Cobb comes in a lot. He's in Atlanta. He put his B1 in there. Dennis Spraggins and Deba Lowen and Joshua Floyd. How are you?
Where are they from?
Dr. Conrad Bingham. What are you a doctor of, Dr. Conrad Bingham? Joshua Floyd is a truck driver. That is a tough job. God bless the truck drivers.
Well, you know what? I hope that he can listen to us and it'll help him on his road. We
Oh,
we need truck drivers
heck yeah.
because, like, how do we get stuff?
Nothing gets anywhere without truck
That's
drivers.
right.
It's not like they use helicopters or anything. But
Anyway,
look at some of the cities here. I see Memphis for Zandra, Cincinnati for Artrell. Dennis says we are a power couple. Do you feel like a power couple?
not at the moment, but maybe we are.
Well, we're a sleepy couple. How
I
about
am
that?
very sleepy right
There
now.
we go. Let's see here. Diva from East Hartford, Connecticut. And I see Minnesota for Dennis Spraggins. Tamarack, Florida for Roy. Dallas, Texas for Debbie. Dr. Conrad Bingham is a dentist. Now,
All
dentists are
right.
important. I did a whole overhaul at the dentist office
I
last
know.
time.
I mean, people have such anxiety about going to the dentist. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's because you're hearing all these drills, and it took me a long time to realize that just because you hear a drill doesn't mean that somebody's gonna be in pain. Though sometimes the drills don't even do anything; they just sound terrible.
Goodness. Yeah.
But shout out to Dr. Bingham, dentist, Black Dentists Matter. I see Anita English is from Manchester, New Jersey, and I see Omaha, Nebraska for Wanda, the home of Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha.
He's from Omaha?
Yeah, yeah, he lives a very simple life.
Does he really?
Yeah, he eats McDonald's
Wait, why
cheeseburgers.
why would he live a simple life?
It doesn't make sense, right? Like literally, when you're
Like,
making
why?
$100 million a day,
What's up with that?
you would think that somebody could like afford a nice car.
Splurged on a nice car. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of that, I was really happy. We bought a car last year, and I was talking about cars the other day on my Instagram. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins, and I was talking about how the price people on the average. Do you know this, that the average new car note price has risen to over $700? How many of y'all knew that?
$700.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, $700. And so basically, I said, do you realize that if you took $712, the average new car note, and you invested that in an S&P 500 index fund over a 10-year period, guess how much money you'd have?
How much? Over a 10-year period?
Mhm.
Oh.
Approximately, this is approximate, $155,718
And you're giving all that money to who? The bank?
to the car dealer.
To the car dealer?
Mhm. Yeah, so
And the bank who finances and gets interest off of you. Yeah, I mean, why a brand new car? Why are so many people buying brand new
I
cars?
don't know. When we bought our car, we didn't get a new car. Remember the difference? We went to
Well,
the
we
lot,
could have gotten a brand new car. I just thought it was stupid.
and it was so expensive.
Yeah,
I remember just we saw the Infinity that we really liked, and it was brand new. We needed a big one because we got all these damn kids,
all these people.
all
You
these other
gotta.
human beings that think that they should live in our house. and
Yeah.
and we and our other Infinity was not big enough, so to hold all the kids and grandma. So what we did was we got a bigger Infinity, and with the new car price, first we looked at the Lincolns because we started acting a little too black, and we saw those fancy Lincolns, and I said, man, I'm not spending all this money.
Oh, and we looked at the Cadillac. Remember the Cadillac
Oh,
Escalade?
and I did not like it. I did not like it. You know what?
Nothing's more black than the Cadillac.
That is so true. That's why they got Serena Williams in their commercials.
That's right.
Yeah,
Shoot,
but
you smart.
yes, yeah. So we looked at the Lincoln and the Cadillac, and it was just way too expensive. It wasn't like the money wasn't around. I mean, it's not a secret like that. I'm not that we're not poor, right? But I was like, I don't want to waste that much money. I want to invest that much money, and so we went to Infinity, and we found an Infinity, a new one that was more reasonably priced, but it was still overpriced. And then remember, I said, let's look at some of the 2018s. Let's go 3 years back and take a look at some of those. So that way we can get the new car smell and all that without the price. And then we both looked at the same car at the same time and fell in love.
Yeah, but that was when inventory was much higher. I think right now it's tough to find a car now, like a
Yeah,
used car.
it is.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, the whole industry's backed up.
But yeah, it is backed up.
Yeah. By the way, if you all could do us a favor, just a reminder, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And also, if you could you give us a yes in the chat if you can hear us okay? Let us know you can hear us okay. We actually do the podcast directly from our phone. If you're a person that ever wanted to do a podcast, just know that a lot of this stuff doesn't require fancy equipment or anything like that. I use an app called Anchor where I load up the audio, and Anchor actually puts the podcast on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff for you. Okay, thank you very much, Artel and Dr. Bingham and Adam Carter and Kendall Jones and Gregory Williamson. All right, so let's jump into our topic for today. All right, so we got this thing. Somebody sent us this thing. I wish I had. I think her name was Antoinette. Shout out to Antoinette for sending this over. I hope I didn't get her name wrong, but the sister sent this to me in my inbox, and it was about secret bank accounts. And that led us to our question for today: is a secret bank account okay to have in a relationship? And so what I'm going to do is share with you. This is exactly the post that they sent me. I have no idea who that lady is at the top. She's for some reason the post had this lady, and I don't know if that's her or not,
It
but
could be her.
it could be. It
Yeah.
could be. So let me tell you what was said here, and then we can kind of talk
You
about
can
it.
read that little print.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I got better eyes than you.
I can't read it, but you go ahead.
All right. It says, my husband works and I am a stay at home mom.
Mhm.
He is the most unselfish person I know. So I guess she's a stay at home mom, which means she does not make income outside the house. He is the most unselfish person I know. I handle all the finances, and he has never said or acted like it was his money. It's our money. Anyway, he is upset with me because he found out I had a bank account he knew nothing about. I've been making money online and keeping it from him. He says that his problem is not that I've been making money online, but that I kept it from him in the event of a divorce someday. He said that women keep a stash of hidden money in case the marriage fails. It's like a man keeping a side chick in case the marriage fails. And we both need to be all in or nothing. My
Mhm.
mom raised me to have a secret stash that my husband doesn't know about. Is this wrong? Is my husband right? Okay, so let's do a quick little poll here. Um, do you think that she's wrong? Or do you think that she's okay? If you think she's okay, put okay. If you think that she's wrong, put wrong. Or you can say super wrong, dead wrong, hella wrong, extra wrong, wrongity wrong. Or if you think she's okay, or if you think she's smart, just say that too. You can say, okay, I'm seeing wrong from Adam Carter. No, says Ashwin. Adam Carter says husband right. Scarcity mindset says Dr. Bingham. Okay, Jacquez
Yeah,
says
that's
wrong.
a good one.
Okay, Reginald says she is smart. Art Trail says wrong, wrong. As a mom not working. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of wrong. Okay, I see some okays. The okays are making a comeback here. Let's see here. Randolph says okay. All right. She's not wrong, but he found out, says Sandra. Oh, okay. So let me go to the beautiful black woman sitting next to me and ask her, who sees couples every single day. Um, what do you think? What would you say if a couple came in to your office with that particular issue?
Well, first of all, I don't like to get into who's wrong and who's right.
Okay.
I don't like to judge because that takes judgment. So if she is a stay-at-home mom, maybe she feels vulnerable. What you gonna do if your husband runs off with the secretary while you at home raising the kids? It's like it leaves you in this vulnerable position, and so maybe she's coming from that perspective. And then for him, he's like, I trusted you. I'm bringing home all the bacon, giving all the bacon to you, trusting that you would handle everything in this house so that I can go out and make the money, and we're a team together. It doesn't feel like much of a team when you're sitting here just playing for yourself. And it sounds as if he probably didn't have an issue with her bringing home, with her having her own stash. It's just the idea that it's a stash that she was keeping from him. Like,
Mm.
it's a secret. I think the secret part is probably what bothers him. And for her, she's like, my mama taught me this. My mama taught me always have something secret because you never really know. And so
Mm.
it makes me wonder, what happened to that mother. Maybe that mother suffered something really awful in her history where she is just putting that on her kids, that it's gonna happen, it's inevitable, that this man, you can't trust no man, and they're gonna go out and do all these things, and so you've got to protect yourself. So I don't know, I try to help explain and learn about why people do the things that they do, why people hurt each other, and more so getting to the bottom of that so that they can know each other better. And then probably at the other side of this, everyone gets what they want.
Mm.
He gets a wife he can trust. She gets a husband who, because she already said, my husband's very generous. My husband's very kind, very nice. So it doesn't seem like he's done anything to really make her feel as if he'd be malicious in some way. So yeah, it's just having a conversation and understanding, instead of like being upset and mad.
Interesting. Interesting. I would definitely agree with you in that it doesn't feel right, and it and I think that where maybe we're a little different is like I might think about things from what I consider to be a practical standpoint. I think about what her mother must have gone through, right? And you and
Awful.
you and I've been talking a lot about the research you've been doing on financial trauma. You're getting that trauma
Hmm.
certification, and trauma is real. It really impacts you, and it can shape how you see things. And so when people talk about a scarcity mindset, typically the scarcity mindset comes, I would imagine, from some sort of trauma, like where you've been in a situation where things were scarce.
You got
So
caught off guard too. It was
yeah,
a
you got
surprise.
caught slipping, and you become a hoarder. You start to hoard, like the little poor kid who goes to the rich people's house and he's like putting food in his pocket.
In the drawer. Yeah, he's
Yeah, because
hiding
because
food.
yeah, because he's thinking that there won't be any food, and that typically comes from a real experience.
Hmm.
And I think that if you look at what's interesting is that things are different now than they were 50 years ago, 40 years ago.
As
40
they should be.
right, 40 years ago you had divorces where the husband would, I knew a lady like this who was suicidal because her husband, she had quit school, she quit college because her husband was going to be a dentist, and he
Wait, she's not
just
married to the guy in the chat.
she's not married to no, she's not married to the brother in the chat,
Okay.
but she was going to be a dentist, and or he was going to be so Dr. Bingham, he's going to be a dentist just like you, and she just was so proud of being married to this dentist, and it allowed her to be a stay-at-home wife for over 20 some years. Well, just like almost like out of a textbook, he falls in love with his 23-year-old secretary
Secretary. Hmm.
and runs off with the secretary, and the wife is stuck trying to maintain a lifestyle for her kids that she cannot afford. Her kids were in private school and they live in a nice neighborhood. He left her with nothing, 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 nothing. And that, just
And they were married to each other?
yeah, when I heard that story, I
What was
said,
the
that
courts
sounds
doing back then?
that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe it was
Uh-huh.
taking too long, or maybe she couldn't. Maybe he hid his assets, or I don't know. But
Okay.
but I don't think you can do that as easily now. Like, and
No.
that's the thing, and that affects both him and her.
Yeah.
If they get a divorce, he still has a right to have half of all that secret money. And if you go to court and lie about the secret money, oh, the judge will beat you, will whoop your ass.
They do. So it's funny because you think that money is secret. You have these secret accounts, and if the marriage gets dissolved, first of all, it's there's a way to find that secret with so-called secret account, and you got to share that money. You
Mm-hmm.
got to share that money out. So you think you putting money aside? That's just my money. You
Hmm.
can't be putting no money aside. That's our money. Where you putting our money?
You know what? I think that if it's like you're hiding money, you can't hide it in a bank account. You got to hide it like a dope dealer. You got to have like a
under your
a
under
bunch
your
of
pillow.
cash under your pillow or buried in the backyard. You got to go Pablo Escobar with it. You can't just be like, "Oh, I've got an account over at Chase Bank," and they're never gonna
With your
find it.
social security number
Right,
attached.
where my socials attached. Yeah. Oh,
Like, what's up
they'll
with
the
that?
forensic accountants will never find this.
Yeah.
It's all the way over at Chase Bank.
And I could tell like the husband may have been like kind of insulted. Like, Dad, you didn't think highly of me that I wouldn't mess you over if something happens. It's really
Mm,
strange. I mean, it really speaks to the fact that before you get married to someone, you really need to get their financial history. You really need to have a conversation
mm,
about their relationship with money. It's
mm,
mostly psychological.
mm. That's so true. I think you can learn about a person's relationship with money by watching and not just talking. Because people, I believe that when you talk to people, they tell you who they want to believe that they are. But when you watch people's behavior, you get to see exactly who they actually are.
Yeah, but I mean, that's an implicit understanding. But I think that with marriage, everything needs to be explicit. We can't be making no assumptions here. It's kind of like, and you have to be open for that conversation. So if I were to come to you and say, "Hey, Boyce, I noticed that you handled money in this sort of way. Can you tell me how you came to that decision?" You have to be open
Yeah.
to answer that question and not get offended and not be like, "I don't owe you no answer." No, yes, you do. Tell me what's going on with you in this money decision. And I'm asking these questions because I want to know if you're fit. I want to know what I'm getting into who am I marrying.
Mm,
And so it's being you have to have these conversations. And most people they get so anxious when they talk about money and finances, they just shy away from it and go scramble away and do whatever they want to do.
mm.
Hmm.
Everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, and my wife is a therapist, and she sees couples and things like that. And also, if you want some free resources on how to sort of heal your relationships or to improve your money mindset, we love talking about this sort of thing and sharing information. So feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. We have a Black Love Challenge. We have all kinds of tests and workbooks and things like that you could take a look at to not just understand your mindset when it comes to money and life and relationships, but everything in between. And so let me dig into this. So I think that there has to be room for different perspectives. What I, ever since I was a kid, I was never really a big rule follower. You know that, right?
I
And
like that. I mean, 'cause that's what makes you such a great entrepreneur. I was reading that book called Originals,
uh-huh.
and you fit the perfect original person. The
Do I?
originals who come up with these great ideas, very super creative, brilliant almost. And so, yeah, I wonder what is it like for you boys growing up being so unique?
Well, no, I mean, I believe you. I believe you should make you make. I believe you should make your rules the way you make your food. When you
Hmm.
make the best meal, it's not like a happy meal. It's not a meal that's cooked by somebody else. I think it should be a meal that's cooked by you with your ingredients with the exact right balance that's really going to work for you, right? So I think that in a relationship, I would argue that communication does matter, but also you don't just communicate with me with your words, you communicate with me with your actions. I learn more about how you view money by watching you make financial decisions than I did from what you told me.
Uh-huh.
You told me things. Sure, you told me what you wanted the rules to be and what your preferences were, but I also just kind of knew. I was like, okay, my wife is frugal. When she makes, she doesn't buy anything for herself. She she thinks we're poor, no matter how much money we have. I literally, I could be. I mean, I know how to make money. I'm a big time investor, and I think in your mind you always think that we're poor.
I don't know if I think they were poor. Like, okay, so that's why we have to have these explicit conversations because your interpretation of my behavior is different. Like, I grew up with everything just being enough. This is enough. We're content with what we have. So it was never like, go get money, gotta have money, money's so important, all of that. And I would have conversations with my dad about money, and he would say, like, it's just subtractions and additions. That's it. You just make money, you spend it, you have to, it's like an ebb and flow. So money was never anything really that was seen as a lack thereof when I was growing up, but it was never seen as money is so important that you attach your value and your worth to how much money you have. It was more so intellectual because there were a lot of intellectuals in my family. And so we were more impressed with conversations, with what you know, with how to engage with each other than we were with spending a bunch of money or just making sure we have a lot of money or going out to eat all the time, living it up. Like it was never like a live it up lifestyle. It was just more like we're content with what we have. What else could you want? You're comfortable. You have a roof over your head. You have clothes on your back. Let that be enough. Let's now focus on other things. So it just wasn't such an emphasis. And then me and you start dating, and it's a whole different world.
Well,
Your world.
well, also, well, part of it, I mean, it was a different world also because there are opportunities financially and otherwise that appear, when you've been able to do something well, and
Yeah.
so I don't consider myself to be a person that attaches value to how much money I have or whatever. But I think as a man, I've always felt it is your responsibility as a man to make sure your family has what they need. If your kids are hungry and starving and your wife doesn't have what she wants, I do feel like that is something that as a man you want to do your best to address.
Okay.
Maybe there's only so much you can do, but if you're not trying, then that's a problem for me. And so I guess when it comes to money and everything else, I've always been open with sharing. I don't think that sharing's a bad thing. I would say that also I would imagine in basically in marriage, I'm guessing that it's a matter of like number one, I think you should invest in the marriage and do your best to not get divorced. But if you get divorced, uh, I personally wanted to be married to someone who wasn't going to try to take me to the cleaners financially. Like if that like that song. Remember that song "Hit 'Em Up" style. Ladies, if your man want to get buck wild, you know
Oh
what I'm talking
Lord.
about.
Yeah.
That song used to scare me.
Wow.
That song scared me. That's like basically that's almost like that's like a financial rape song.
Oh
Like if he
gee.
makes you upset, go take everything he's got,
Ah,
hurt
so
him as
take
much
his
as you
gold
can.
card and go charge that thing up.
Yeah, it's like it's. I mean,
Wow.
literally, it's like let's go financially violate him
So the
because
fact that
he hurt my feelings.
yeah, so the fact that that scares you, has something like that happened to you
No,
in
well,
real life?
it wasn't before that song came out, but I did. I mean, a long time ago, I did have a girlfriend who knew we were breaking up, and when I went to sleep, she took my credit card.
Ah,
She's,
see, that's why it
but
scares
you
you
know what? No,
because it
well, the
actually
thing was,
happened to
no,
you.
actually, remember the song scared me before the incident took place, and actually, the amount of money she took really wasn't like a crippling amount of money. It was like $250.
Yeah, but depending on where you are financially, like if were you a graduate student?
Yeah, but I had money.
Yeah, but as a graduate student, $250 is like what is
Well, not
happening?
well for me. It wasn't because I had scholarships. Remember, I was a superstar student, so I had all these scholarships. So I had
But that's
money.
that's not the point. The point the amount is not the point. The point of it is that you had that in your conscience, and you had that there, and then sure enough, here's somebody that just went and while you were sleeping,
Well, yeah, and
you
yeah,
know, that's abusive,
well, remember too. I mean, I saw. How many of y'all have ever seen like a divorce that got really messy, and somebody got just taken to the cleaners financially? I don't
Ah,
think, and I don't think that and I hear men
so
talk
you
about that.
saw that?
Yeah, a lot of men see it. A lot of people,
Okay.
a lot of people, a lot of what women see is what this lady's mother saw, which is where the woman gets abandoned financially and the man goes off and lives his life, and the mother's living in a 1 bedroom apartment with 3 kids trying to find a way to make it by. But what the men have seen is their friends. get just slaughtered economically and and emotionally drained, maybe have their reputations ruined because maybe they did something inappropriate or whatever, and they've been shamed because of it. And it scares men. It makes men say, oof. And I think these are real experiences. I don't think this is like
Yeah.
some distorted reality you've created because you're overly paranoid. It's like, no, I've really seen somebody get their ass whooped in court. And
So it's not as if these things have you've experienced these things yourself, but it's almost like a vicarious experience. You're living
yes,
vicariously through someone else, and then you're carrying that with you. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you
like
watch the other slaves get beat on the plantation, and it makes you act different toward massa.
yeah, and so you're carrying this fear along with you into these relationships, and it's almost like so this person trusted this lady, and he shouldn't have trusted her, and
Well,
so therefore you walking around thinking in the lens of is this lady gonna take advantage of me financially, or if this isn't, and so that's the type of
well,
energy you
it's
put.
a healthy paranoia. I
Healthy
think I think a
paranoia.
healthy parent. Yeah, I think it's like,
Healthy
but yeah,
paranoia.
just like when women go out on dates
Okay.
and they tell their friends where they are just in case the man turns out to be a rapist. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
they expect the man to be a rapist. They're just saying, I want to be ready just in case.
Yeah, but subconsciously you're pulling that around. Not to say that you shouldn't be cautious,
Hmm.
but to have that in your subconscious is really what's creating those scenarios for you.
Well,
So
I'll tell you, it wasn't subconscious. It was very conscious. It was like, yeah, don't marry the wrong woman, or she'll, or it'll end badly for you. I
yeah,
think,
but
I think, and
that's what
I think a
feed.
healthy person can think that way. I
Hmm.
don't think that makes you weird or paranoid when you're just
Well,
cautious to protect your resources.
well, what I'm saying is that that's what feeds your subconscious. Your conscious mind feeds your subconscious. That's why you should pay attention to who you're around and the type of environment you're around and all of that. So it feeds into that. And then pretty soon you start getting into this mindset where you start believing women are going to take advantage of you. And so you walk around with that in your head.
I don't
And
think, but remember, I don't think you have to conclude women are going to take advantage of you.
okay,
You have
well,
to
or just,
conclude, but what you
hmm
should conclude is that some women will take
hmm
advantage of you,
yeah.
and you have to discern. You have to take the time to discern what kind of woman you're dealing
Okay.
with, right?
Yeah. So I'm speaking, I agree with you on every level, but I'm trying to bring it up to a subconscious level, but maybe I'll bring it down. I'll bring not down, but I'll bring it to what you're talking about here. So yeah, I mean, part of it is trusting yourself. You trust yourself to make good decisions. Yeah, I trust myself. I trust myself that I'm going to be in tune with the person that I'm pursuing, the person that I'm going to trust. I got to trust myself to make a good decision. And then I'm going to trust that because I made this good decision, this won't be the scenario for me. I'm going to be in a nice, loving relationship where we can trust each other.
Hmm.
Right? So the trust is very important. And part of it is just, also respecting each other. And, does this person respect my money? Does this person respect my time, my resources? All of that kind of builds and plays on each other, right?
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah. And so if you're carrying around some of these issues that you've witnessed your friends taking advantage of, and you've seen all these other things, you should have a conversation with yourself about what you're automatically assuming. When you think about dating a woman, what comes to your mind? Are you thinking, okay, is she going to want me because of my money? Is she going to want me because of this? If so you have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, by the way, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And if you could take 1 second, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Our goal is to have intelligent conversations about things that matter to our people, particularly in the areas of relationships and money and mindset. Alicia is a licensed therapist and also a full professor of social work. I'm a professor of finance. And speaking of that, I want to remind everybody that tomorrow I start a new Black Wealth Bootcamp on how to generate income from selling stock options. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's great. It's how I generate income for my own family. And if it's something that you'd like to learn, it's a life skill that will benefit you in the tune of thousands of dollars over time. Feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. You have one more day to sign up. And after tomorrow, we're going to have to shut down the cart. But if you'd like to join us, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. Okay, so let's jump back to the topic at hand here. So, my thought on on the secret bank account, obviously, it just doesn't make any sense. I would say a separate bank account makes sense. A secret bank account is kind of over the top. That kind of speaks of a weird type of deception. Also, based on the story that we read, where this mother's sitting at home and she has a secret online business and decides to not tell her husband about the money, whereas he's telling her about all of his money. He's bringing home all of his money. That's a problem. That's almost to me it almost feels like she's looking at herself almost like a child. Like I can go to work. Like how teenagers get their little job at McDonald's and they don't expect to share that money with anybody. They should do whatever they want. And then you have some families, where my mother used to tell me, no, you're making money, you should contribute to the bills. And it
Wait,
was
as a child, you were a
I
child?
was 15. I wasn't a child. I was a
Wait, so you were a
I was a
child and you
young
had to
man.
pay bills as a child?
Yeah, my mother did that, and you know what? It helped me a lot. It really. Do you understand how much more prepared for adulthood I was at 18 than my friends? A lot of kids go to college. They don't know how to do nothing. They don't know. They ain't never paid a bill. They ain't never had a
They're not
responsibility.
supposed to know. That's the time where you are development. I'm thinking as a developmentally.
Hmm.
That's the time where yes, it's almost like going to college way too early and then you miss out on your childhood. It's like go to college when it's college time. Be a child when it's time to be a child. And I know I heard that you took on parenting responsibilities early on too. And so it just, part of me just wonders about you're taking on the paying the bills and you're taking on these parenting responsibilities as a child, and it's like who parented you, and were you able to have the space where you can actually be a child yourself?
Yeah, well,
And so it just that
I
concerns
do
me.
agree that my parents believe deeply in accountability. And here's the deal: on one hand, it does take away, from your ability to just be an irresponsible kid. Like I have friends that would do things. My boys that I hung out with every weekend, they would get in trouble for something, and they wouldn't even get punished, or they get grounded for a day. My parents would ground me for 2 or 3 weeks, and
Well,
it
what
it
was did
sucked.
the punishment fit the crime? That sounds
Well,
draconian.
sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes they definitely went extra hard, and what
How did you feel when they went extra hard?
I didn't like it, but let me just say this. Let me explain. Let me give their side of the story. My grandfather used to tell my mother, if you don't discipline your son, the police are gonna discipline your son, and he's gonna end up dead or in prison.
Okay, so
And
discipline is one thing, but like hard punishment for something is different.
yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
they're Southern black people, so there tends to be a different type of discipline that is accepted, but but um I have no sympathy for myself for what I went through because all those boys that weren't getting punished, they ended up on drugs. A lot of them ended up dead. Some of them ended up in prison. Some of them ended up out in the street.
Okay,
And
so
I didn't. Do you understand? I did not have a single friend. I mean, this is what my parents were up against.
uh-huh.
I did not have a single friend. I counted up every single male friend I hung out with,
Uh-huh.
except for the white boy I became friends with when I was 13. Toby. Toby became successful.
Okay, so was
Every
Toby did Toby have to pay bills as a 15-year-old and baby and
no
take
to,
on parenting
no Toby had a different
responsibilities?
experience,
Okay.
but at the same time, all the black men. Toby wasn't black either. So he had white privilege. So the thing is that
I don't know.
so
Okay.
the point I'm making though
Mm-hmm.
is while I know sometimes parents can overcorrect, sometimes parents can go harder than they need to go, but I'm appreciative of that actually
Mm-hmm.
because you don't understand when I was 18 or 19, I was on top of things. I was taking advantage of opportunities my friends weren't. And you look at our kids don't really know struggle at all.
No, they
They if
don't.
you put them in a hard situation, you put them in the hood with no money in their pocket, they wouldn't know what to do.
Maybe. Who
Right.
knows?
So
But they'll never they'll never figure that out.
right, and that's what
That's
we
not
do.
gonna be in their
And
conscience.
that's what we do as middle class parents. So sometimes we don't put you and I had a very different upbringing from our kids. And I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
does drive a disparity in terms of like when I see you and I see how much determination it took for you to get your doctorate, I don't think you would have got that if you hadn't had certain experiences as a kid.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, so I mean, you went from harsh discipline, which some people would call that harsh, and then you went to no discipline at all. And I'm just wondering, is there a happy medium to that where you can
Hmm.
have you
Yeah.
can discipline your child, but then also let them be a child, let them
Yeah.
experience things.
Well, I played sports. I was on the track team. I did a lot of kid stuff. I would play basketball with my friends. I'd run around. You wasn't gonna stop me from being no kid. I had so much energy. My mother says I was a ball of energy.
Uh-huh, I believe her.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that part was there, but I also tend to be an ambitious person. I believe in achievement, and I think that Black people, we lose tremendously because we just let our kids sit there as lumps on a log and not learn anything, never accomplish anything. And I do have a respect, like when I hear about some Asian family where they train their child to be an expert concerto at the age of 12,
Yeah,
or
but
their
sometimes
kid is going to Harvard at the age of
I get
15.
it.
I
Yeah.
don't think that necessarily
Mhm.
traumatizes the kid. Maybe the kid grows up and they're appreciative. Thank you, Dad, for giving me a head
Yeah.
start on life.
Well, it doesn't necessarily try. Well, the traumatized part, it just depends on how, um, how they experience that. But it just makes me wonder, when you put all this pressure on children to perform, it's like performance based esteem. Like you
True.
have to. It's like, if my child doesn't win first place, then then forget it.
Mm.
When just like when Tay Tay did her dance competition, I just wanted her to get up there and have a good time. I said, get up there and have fun. Do your thing. Just have fun. Just let go. Don't be nervous. Try not to be nervous. Just let go and dance your heart out. This is the last time you're going to be doing these dances. So dance your heart out. Like that was my thing. So why waste her time, practicing and doing all this if she feels like she's got to be first? And so I think when you just focus on having a good time, believe it or not, that's when you score the highest. When you're just out there enjoying yourself and having a good time and not even thinking about the outcome in that moment, you're just doing. You're just doing what you've been trained to do. To me, that's a great use of time. And she got to hang out with a lot of her friends on the dance team. And, that to me was a good use of my time. Although I'm
Mhm.
a tired mama. Boyce, I'm a
Mhm.
tired mama.
Mhm.
It's just, I think this is one of the first times I've just been home with two jobs, with three kids, and it's a lot juggling that.
Well, you don't, well, and
Anyway.
I think that speaking to the tired mama thing, you're a tired mama partly because you have things that you want to do. You have nothing, almost nothing that you have to do.
That's true.
You like really, you have
I'm
people,
putting this on myself.
right, you have people at your job that wonder why you get up and go to work every day. They're like, you're married to Boyce, why would you have to work? And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, she doesn't have to work, but I respect what you want to do. I respect the work that you do. I think that it's so, and to me, that's the idea, right? Like, I agree with you. If you
So
are,
wait,
if
so
you're
wait.
like, wait, hold on,
Hmm.
let me explain.
Okay.
So if you're like those kids on those crazy dance competitions on TV where their mothers are going ballistic and wanting to give their child, like, cosmetic surgery at the age of 5 so they can win a dance competition or a beauty pageant, that's obviously over the top. But I think there's nothing wrong with having goals. There's nothing wrong with having a purpose. There's nothing wrong with having ambition. And there's nothing wrong with really being hungry. Like, really saying, I want to win first place. Oh, okay, sure. If I don't win first place, the world ain't coming to an end.
Right.
I'm just gonna have to I'm
Right.
gonna have to adjust. I'm not gonna jump off a building. But shit, I want that trophy up there. I think that's okay. Like, I,
Yeah.
I was always the kid who did want the trophy. And I don't
Hmm.
think, and it didn't traumatize me or anything. And it wasn't, or maybe it was partially performance based esteem, because I know that at least for men, and I think women have their own version of this. For men, when you win, when you are a winner, the world does treat you different. You get opportunities, you get access, you get, like a man who walks in a room and he's a millionaire who's looking good and who's highly successful and powerful. He ain't gonna get treated like the guy who gave up on his life and sat around eating donuts and smoking weed all day.
Hmm.
That those two guys are gonna get a different kind of response from the world. And I think it's okay for a man to say, I want plan A. I don't want plan B.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying don't be ambitious. I think what's the interesting part about it, it's a conundrum. It's a paradox. It really is a paradox, because how to get first place is focusing on enjoying yourself in the moment. Believe it or not, that's the best way to get first place. That's the best way to win, is to really feel like, okay, I am locked in. Like when you're doing the work that you do and you're just locked in that moment, you're not even thinking about first place. You're thinking about doing the best job you can do. And so the first place just follows you everywhere you go. But the thing is that you can't just always be so fixated on the first place. You really need to be fixated on being the best person you can be, the best version, the best dancer in this moment. I'm going to enjoy yourself, because I think when you take when the enjoyment is zapped out of what you're doing, you're never going to win. And
Well,
even if you do win, it's not quite a win because you weren't enjoying yourself.
Well, I definitely agree with that. No,
Yeah.
but one thing I will say though, is I remember Rick Pitino, who was the legendary coach, basketball coach at University of Kentucky, who was winning championships left and right. He was talking about a player named Richie Farmer that came to his office, and Richie said, "I'm transferring. I'm leaving the school." And he said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because I'm just not having fun anymore." He
Yeah.
said, "Basketball was fun for me, and I'm just not having fun anymore. It's just too hard, too much." And what Rick said to him was, he said, "Do you really think that winning championships at a high level is always going to be fun?
Mm-hmm.
Practice ain't going to be fun." He said, "Losing weight when you've been allowed to just eat whatever you want, your whole life, that ain't going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Me pushing you and forcing you to be better than you were before, that ain't going to be fun." So I think that when we use that word fun, I think it's important to also calibrate to say that fun is the dessert that is earned after you eat the meal of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline ain't always fun.
It's not always fun, but you have to try to get like. So there are times where I had to write a paper, and I was like, bothered, and I didn't want to write the paper. But the thing is that my mindset when I was writing that paper, it had an influence on, it was just like, I hate this class. You know what I mean? So if I hated the class, my whole disposition in that class changed. So I had to tell myself, okay, you know what is it that I'm trying to learn? What's the message that I'm trying to give out? Like, I have something that I need to say. It needs to be in written form. What's the message? And when I stopped thinking about the fact that that professor pissed me off, and I stopped thinking about, you know, I better get an A in this class. And I switched my mind to, I have got to put in the work so that I can get my message across. So I was thinking about, let me write the best paper. And so that's where the fun generated for me. Do you see what I mean? So it's different. It's different because if you're begrudgingly going along, you're not going to be a good basketball player, a good anything.
Well, yeah,
So
I mean,
it's just
attitude is
almost
everything.
like, right.
Right,
So
right.
that's the type of thing
Yeah.
that I'm referring to.
Yeah, and I think
You
attitude.
know?
I mean, I think finding a way to enjoy what you're doing is definitely important. At the same time, I don't always enjoy every single thing I do to achieve the things I want to achieve. But I know that there is a sacrifice required before you can have the fun. Like last year, you and I, just we did fun stuff. We got a yacht for a week and went out into the ocean and did something, that that I wouldn't have been able to afford to do as a kid. But that was because of the discipline and sacrifice that was required to get into that position. So I think that it's important. I get, my philosophy is like, when it comes to kids, I think it's important to help them understand everything ain't gonna be fun. You're gonna have a
Hmm.
lot of days where you're not really having fun that day.
Well, the whole purpose of getting away from performance-based anxiety is that, not anxiety, but performance-based self-esteem, is that you only feel good about yourself. Only feel good about yourself when you win. And I think that's the problem when you're tying your self-worth toward this outcome, or you're tying your self-worth to how you look,
Mm-hmm.
or tying your self-worth with, who am I dating, or what am I doing, or I gotta make sure that I'm profile. So your self-worth is tied to these things outside of yourself. That's when you look at that person and you say, wow, this person is really miserable, because you're always going to win and you're always going to lose. Like,
Well,
it's
well,
just a
well, I
given,
do agree with that,
you
right? And
know.
I think that when you talk about self worth, I would say that there's two types of worth. There's the worth you see yourself having, and then there's the worth that the world sees with you, how people respond to you. And they, because how they respond to you determines whether or not you'll get the things that you would like to have. So, like, if I'm a guy who says my self worth is the same whether I am fat or skinny, I can gain 500 pounds and I'm still as as worthy as I am if I weigh 180. Sure, you are absolutely. Internally, God loves all his children and you're still a valuable soul. But if you go out into the world and you're like, hey, I still am the sexy man that I was at 180 pounds, and women are looking at you differently, like, no, you're not. you know, then or I'm still as worthy when I'm smoking crack as I was when I was healthy and taking care of myself. You are internally, sure. Again, God loves all the children, but the world does look at you differently. So I think that there is an incentive. I think that we have to be careful when we say, performance, or I don't think you're saying this, but I don't think we want to get to the point where we let somebody believe that how you perform means nothing in your outcomes. Like it just has nothing to do with the things that
Yeah.
matter for you. That's just not true.
Yeah, the thing, it
Doing
always,
your best makes a difference in this world.
yeah, it always feels good to win. I ain't gonna lie. Don't be ambitious. I'm not saying not to be ambitious. It always feels good to win. But the thing is that you can't ruin your entire day and ruminate and think about, oh my God, and just have like a horrible day because you don't. Because what's a giving? One thing that all of us have to know is that a given is that you will always lose and you will always win. And it
Hmm.
depends on, and that's why I love sports and I love competitions and stuff, because you really can see the measure of a person's self-worth based on what they do when they lose. Like Shakari Richardson, like
Ooh,
you can tell how she feels about herself based on how she behaves when she loses.
that's so
Like
true.
you really see the character of a person.
Oof,
You have to learn
Shakari.
how to lose well. And then for some people, I like people who say there's never a lose. There's a win and then there's a learn. Like those are my favorite people who say that, because you don't
Yeah.
even see a lose as a real lose, like I'm a loser. No, you just there's an opportunity for you to learn.
Now I do see that. So I would almost say that maybe while the act of winning or losing is not that important, it's certainly not as important as attitude, mindset, right? Like if there's such a thing as behaving like a winner, even if you lost,
That's right.
right? And I do it, that I agree with, and I
Yeah.
think that that's important, and I remember when I was in college and I wanted to make good grades. I really had that performance based esteem thing going on, which because I was known as the smart kid. I had the highest GPA of all the black students on the University of Kentucky campus,
Hmm.
and I remember saying there's too much pressure to feel like I have to make an A because there's too many variables I can't control. What I can
Yeah.
control is whether I do my best. So I started measuring, I would measure myself, not want to say self worth, but I would judge myself. Like, did you do your best?
Yeah.
If you did your best, then it's cool. If you
Yeah.
didn't, then we got a problem. And I think that's okay, right? And also I know that my parents raised me in an unconventional way, but I also had unconventional success because of that.
Hmm.
So as much as we know parenting isn't perfect and we all can come up short, shoot, I thank them every chance I get. I'm like, thank you for making me different from all the
Well,
all the people out here that I see that feel like they can't do nothing without a white man's permission, or they feel like the struggle is overwhelming and all that. I've never felt that way. My father
mm,
said, if you want to succeed, you go out there and you get it. Period. I'll
okay.
let you get the last word before we roll out to because it's breakfast time.
Is it breakfast time? My
Yes,
stomach is growling.
yes.
Yeah. So I want to go back to this situation. So I think secrets in general are awful in relationships. And the fact that she felt the need to keep a secret from her husband, it would be the topic of my therapy session with them. If they were in my office, I would try to get to what is it about the secrecy part that really motivated you to want to do this, to want to have it, because it doesn't seem like this husband would have an issue with her having a separate checking account or a separate account. Like, what is it about the secrecy that it just has to be something that you want to keep from your husband? And how do you expect, are these the expectations of the relationship, to have secrets and not be able to share with each other? So I would definitely have a conversation about that. What would you
Mm.
say for this?
Um, yeah, I think she's wrong. If she's got a secret bank account and isn't telling her husband about it, that's not cool. That's not how marriage works. I think that maybe a conversation about a separate bank account
Yeah.
is okay. I think that's what you and I kind of agreed on: his, hers, and ours. And we have our joints, we have our individual stuff going on, and I think that works. But there's no one size fits all approach. But in general, if you are hiding money from your spouse, and you think you can get away with it, just know that they will find that money, and you don't want to go hiding money
The
when
truth, yeah.
you know
The
this.
truth always comes out.
Yeah, it
It
does.
always.
It does. So, and I also think that that communication piece you talked about sort of communicating these things before you get married, that's huge. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't know that. Like they'll talk all day about what sex position do you like, but they won't talk about, financial things, financial history, and financial compatibility
Well,
and all
all of
that.
that is important.
All
You
those
got to
things
talk
are
about all of
those
that.
those things are important, but I mean, come on now, like the way somebody looks, that isn't going to necessarily make them a good
Uh-huh.
partner for life, a good business partner for life. And so, by the way, everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. Alicia's website, she sees clients all the time, and she's a licensed therapist. She's been doing it for a long time. And so, if you'd like to learn more about what she does, she has classes and groups and sessions, consultations, everything else. So, feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com, or you can look her up on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And also, my website is boycewatkins.com. So if you'd like to join my Black Wealth Bootcamp, which starts tomorrow, and we're going to focus on stock options. So if you'd like to learn how to sell stock options to generate income, then we get started tomorrow night, Thursday night at 8 p.m. We're going to meet 4 weeks, and it's really, really valuable stuff to understand. A lot of people don't know how to do this well. I do. That's what my PhD's in. So I'd love to teach you. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com.
Yeah,
All right,
and when you
everybody.
wait, and when
Go
you
ahead.
make money with stock options, don't hide it from your spouse.
Yeah, right, right. When you make the stock option money, don't hide it from your spouse.
how
And
we how we spending this money?
yeah, and also send me a note to let me know how well you're doing financially. Because I know some of you all are making more money because you started investing, and I love hearing your stories. And feel free to leave suggested topics in the comments. We're always open. And thank you to Antoinette for suggesting this topic. And this got us back on our pillow talk game. So
I know. I'm
yeah.
awake now and I'm hungry.
Yeah,
So
let's go eat breakfast. All right, everybody, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, everything else on your way out the door. Love you, and we will see you all soon. Take care.
bye, everyone.
You guys are doing well. I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. So today on Dr. Boyce TV, we're going to talk about 5 ways to know that you're not free. Today is July 4th. So I thought that I would provide a perspective that will help you understand what freedom looks like, what liberty looks like. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say hello to everybody, and I want to say happy holiday to everybody. I would say happy 4th of July, but that's just a weighted statement. Like if I say happy 4th, some of y'all just say thank you. And some of y'all gonna say, what the 4th? Why would you celebrate the 4th? The 4th ain't no. I get all that. I understand. I paid attention in history class at least 30% of the time, so I do know the implications of the 4th of July. But I still think sometimes we can let our hair down, even though I ain't got no hair. I let my hair down and decide that sometimes I'm not gonna take it too seriously, because that stuff will just stress you out. So I want to say hello to everybody. Shout out the city that you're from. Shout out your city. Miss D Fit, Brian Bridges, Ronnie Hunter, Root Trackers. I see you. Ray Gale. I want to say hi to everybody on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. So feel free to follow me on Instagram if you'd like to have your thinking challenged. If you don't like your thinking challenged, then don't follow me, because I'm just going to make you mad and you're going to end up unfollowing me in a couple of days. But if you like critical thinking and you like Black intelligence and you believe that we should be more intelligent as a people, then feel free to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. And so let me before I jump into the topic for today, I want to also give a quick public service announcement. I noticed on the internet that there are people that, I guess there are a lot of scam artists and things like that. There are people that pretend to be other people. So what typically happens is that when I make a post, particularly on YouTube or Instagram, stuff like that, there will be a fake Boyce Watkins that will be in the chat. And this fake Boyce Watkins will offer you his WhatsApp number, and they will ask you to go invest in some crypto schemes. That is not me, and I'm asking you to not just ignore the person, but please report that if you see it. I just want to make sure you know that, because from what I'm hearing, people they are losing money from this kind of thing, and that breaks my heart, and I don't want that to happen to you. All right, so hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, and I saw Minneapolis and Tampa, Florida, New York City. Let's see, Long Beach, Phoenix, Arizona, Richmond, California, Beantown. Darlene, you're in Boston. I love Boston. I got to go back. I did an internship in Boston. Just to tell you a little funny white people story. I got my dream job. Like, see, this is a great way to start this conversation. I really believe, because how many of y'all grew up like thinking about your dream job? How many of y'all like grew up really believing that there was such a thing as a dream job? Give me a yes or no, right? If you imagine like what a great job would look like, how much money you'd make, how much freedom they would give you, right? Like you're not grown, like you like your kid. I like my job because they allow me to do blah blah blah. They let me. They're not your parents. They're not your parents. You know, and I grew up, you know, the same way. I grew up looking forward to my dream job and thinking, if I go to school and work hard, I'm gonna get my dream job. Because I was a good student in college. I was the number one. I'm a brag woman. I was the number one Black student on the entire University of Kentucky campus for 4 years straight. Nobody came close to me. I dominated the other students GPA wise. I had a triple major. I got 2 bachelor's degrees. I could have got a 3rd bachelor's degree. I just didn't want to do the extra class. But anyway, I did all that. Why did I do all that? I did all that because I wanted my dream job. You know, I had a vision, some fantasy of a white man, you know, in giving me a big office with a nice briefcase and wearing nice suits and driving a nice car to a nice job where they would kind of let me do what I want. So one of the things that happened was that because I had a good GPA in college, they would invite you to participate in things and to apply for things. Everything I applied for, I got it. Every scholarship, every internship, everything. So I applied for an internship, and I got my dream job. And it was a job with General Electric, their aircraft engines division in Lynn, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. So literally, that when Darlene said Beantown, that made me think about Boston, because I enjoyed the city, I enjoyed the people. It was a wonderful experience outside of work. And so when I take this job and I was making all this money, like more money than I ever made in my life. You know, I'm 19, 20. What am I? Was I 20 or 19? I can't remember. I think I was 20 at the time, and I had never made money before, so I'm making all this money, and they give me this beautiful apartment in the center of Boston. If you know anything about Boston real estate prices, you can imagine they're sky high. This building was right next to Mass General Hospital, where they've got these surgeons and Harvard-educated doctors that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So they put me in an apartment in that nice space, and so I would go to work. I would get on the train and go to my job, and it was way out in Lynn, Massachusetts. And I had this supervisor named Mary, and Mary was this 28-year-old white lady who was really just a complete prig. She was a terrible person. She gave me no guidance, no mentorship. I hated that job. I got there, I was bored, I was confused, I didn't know what to do. I would go, now back then we didn't even have internet and stuff where you could just sit there. If we had Facebook and Twitter and all that, I would have been tweeting and Facebooking and YouTubing all day, because I was so bored. But instead, because we didn't have all that, I would just go walk around the factory, hang out in the bathroom. It was just terrible. And that experience, I kid you not, that is when I started questioning just this whole dream job thing. Like before that, my dream job was, I'm hoping GE will hire me and pay me a lot of money and I can go. And I said, man, this is depressing. This is so depressing. I don't want to live like this. If this is what the rest of my life is going to look like, then just kill me right now. Just shoot me, man, because I don't want to live like this. You know, and when it came to a head, and I'm gonna get to the five questions in a minute, but this is important, right? Because a lot of us have gone through these experiences. I remember they gave me this mentor, you know, on the jobs they because they have their fake diversity programs, and so they assigned me this random black man to be my mentor. I had nothing in common with this guy, and I remember he drove this real raggedy car. I mean, it was raggedy. He bought it for like $300, and I remember thinking, I don't want your job if I got to drive a car like this. This is my 19-year-old brain kind of operating, and I remember him telling me he had been there for 28 years. And he was so proud of the great relationship he had with GE. Now, I'm not knocking those of you who have had those great jobs and or happy with your job or have been, you know, on the corporate plantation and done well in that space and overcame the racism and the microaggressions and all that. But I was not impressed. I was not impressed. And I just looked at this black man and I said, I don't want this to be my future. I don't know how I can have a different future, but I don't want to be 55 years old driving a broke down hoopty and just bragging about how I was able to get along. I have respect for him, but that wasn't it for me. So that experience, that horrible experience of working with that mean lady and also just, you know, having a job I hated, that really made me reflect. And that was actually what led me to become a professor. I met my mentor, my buddy, Dr. Tommy Whitler. I talked to him yesterday. We still love each other to death. He's been my buddy since I was 19 years old. And he introduced me to being a finance PhD, a finance professor. And he showed me how much money they made. They made a lot of money. He showed me the freedom of being a professor. He was the first black professor I ever met. And this is an example of how mentorship and imagery is so important. This is why it's so important for your kids to be exposed to people that are doing different things, right? This gets to that first step toward freedom, right? Part of it being intellectual freedom or psychological freedom. A lot of kids in Chicago, for example, don't have any sort of psychological freedom because they ain't never left their damn block. There are kids in Chicago that live 15 minutes away from downtown who have never been downtown. So exposure is huge. And I would encourage you, if you haven't thought about it, I want you to be very conscious. Remember, conscientious parenting is how you become a great parent, and being conscious about your life and strategizing and all that. This is what critical thinking looks like. I encourage you to be very conscious about what you expose your children to. Expose them to a lot of things that will give them access to freedom of thought, so they can see different ideas, they can see different perspectives, they can see different experiences, they can maybe even see different countries if you can do that. If not, at least different cities. You know, get them out there, get them exposed to things. All right. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Don't forget, on July 7th, the next Black Wealth Bootcamp begins, where we will spend 4 weeks and I will show you how to generate consistent income by selling stock options. That's what this next bootcamp is all about. I'm going to show you my process on picking the stocks. I'm going to show you my process on managing the risk. I'm going to show you my process of re-upping every week and adjusting my portfolio. This has worked for me. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this. This is what I'm teaching this next week. It's a great skill to have in a down stock market, because if you buy a stock and you're just waiting for the price to go up, you may be waiting for a long time. The Fed policy has shifted the market. Basically, the market's going to be damp. It's expected to be damp for quite a while. And this allows me to generate income even when the market's going down. So if that's of interest to you, just go to boycewatkins.com, or you can hit the link in the bio if you're on Instagram. And those of you who asked about a payment plan, we did implement a payment plan. It's still cheaper to pay all at once, but if you want to do a payment plan, that's fine too. And also, everything is yours for life. The materials are yours for life. So we start July 7th at 8 p.m. We're going to meet every Thursday at 8 for the next 4 weeks. So feel free to join us then. All right. So let me go into five ways to know that you might not be free. There's five things I thought about this morning, because I was thinking about the fact that it's July 4th. And there's a lot of controversy, a lot of conversation about Black people. Like, are we really free? So I'm going to ask you guys a question actually before we begin. Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you feel that most Black people are free or not free? Like, what do you think? Yes or no? Do you think that, yes, and yes, 19th, I will show you what stocks to pick. Absolutely. What do you think? Do you think that Black people, give me a yes or no. Do you feel that Black people are free or not free? What do you think? Okay, I see a lot of no's here. Joanne, Wallace, Michael. Let's see. Ajamu, I see lots of no's. Tracy, no. Jeannie says no. Okay, so a lot of no's. I haven't even seen any yeses yet. Okay, let me ask you this. If you were to describe your own life, do you feel free? That's a different question, right? It's a little more personal. Yeah, yes or no? Do you feel free in your own life? Do you feel free? Okay, I see some yeses and I see some no's. Okay, and I mean, I'm sure the no's are not yets, right? And that's okay. It's all, all of us go through that. Okay, all right. So let me give you five. This is Dr. Boyce talk here. This is literally a framework that I put together in my head mostly this morning in terms of thinking about what freedom looks like. And I'm going to start with the definition of freedom. And if you look, so it's July 4th. Let's talk about freedom. It's supposed to be Freedom Day and all that stuff. And here's what freedom is defined as in the dictionary. Freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So according to this definition, freedom means that you have the ability to act as you want, to speak as you want, and to think as you want without hindrance or restraint. Also, another definition is the state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. Okay. And so we know that our ancestors that were slaves on the plantation didn't have freedom. My name Boyce actually comes from my great-great-great-grandfather who was named Boyce by his slave master. So I got the connection, the direct connection. So when those reparations checks come in, they ain't going to be able to dispute my case at all. Okay. And so ultimately, we know that type of slavery existed. We know that type of slavery was real. But the thing about freedom is that freedom is not an on-off switch. Freedom is a continuum. If you think about it, you can have freedom at this end and slavery at the other end. Most of us are somewhere in the middle of this. And it's not just a continuum, but it's a multidimensional continuum, meaning that there's different measures of freedom. In this definition, they said act, think, or speak, right? But also there's things like financial freedom, right? So sometimes you might have freedom in one category, but not have freedom in another category, right? And so ultimately, I think that just being very conscious, when we talk about consciousness, we're always talking about being conscious. I'm conscious. Most people who talk about how conscious they ain't really that conscious, right? In my opinion. I think consciousness requires a lot of meditation. It requires a lot of critical thinking. It requires some knowledge. It requires you to some exposure. Consciousness, and just generally speaking, it requires a commitment to the awareness necessary to be able to really critically analyze the environment around you. And I think a lot of us don't do that. I really believe that. And so one thing I'll say is that when you talk about hindrance or restraint. So in this definition, freedom is the right, or I'm gonna read it again, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So if you go back to Dr. Claude Anderson in his book, Powernomics has an interesting kind of corollary in terms of the reason I love this book is because this book is a blueprint to freedom. Because one of the first things that Dr. Anderson talks about in this book, and we read it every Wednesday night in the book club. If you want to join, just go to BoyceWatkins.com. We're going through this book with a fine-tooth comb. We've been doing it for almost a year and a half now. We're going to keep going until we're done. And one of the things he says about power is that power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others, despite the hindrance of others. So when he talks about hindrance and restraint, right? Act, speak, or think without hindrance or restraint. Well, Powernomics to me is the antidote to the curse, to the disease of slavery. So the same way that slavery in America, corporate slavery and political slavery and all these other forms of slavery exist, well, that's the disease. Well, the cure is power. Power is the response to lack of freedom. The more power I have, the more I can free myself. You try to wrap me up in chains, I'm powerful, I bust out of the chains. You try to trick me psychologically, well, my mind is powerful. I'm a very educated man. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to solve the puzzle and get out of that situation, right? Financially, you try to lock me down financially. Well, my power comes in the fact that I've got some economic security and I don't really, you can't really hold me down financially, right? You can't make somebody come to a job every day if they have an inheritance. You can't make them come to work every day if they've got financial security. You can't, if they got multiple streams of income. You can't do that. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it comes down to kind of understanding how powerful are we as Black people. Some of you are powerful, some of you are not. If I were to ask you all the question, give me a yes or no. Do you feel that Black people are powerful in America? Do you feel that we truly are powerful, understand our power, and utilize that power in a way that gives us freedom? I think the answer is no. I really believe the answer is no. Now, by the way, you can get a copy of Dr. Anderson's books at powernomics.com. That's powernomics.com. That's his website. So please support him. The man deserves it. He's a wonderful human being. All right. So here's what my thoughts are when you talk about freedom. I would say that at least 5 criteria that you can ask yourself in terms of asking, am I really free in this life is, I guess the first question would be, can you do what you want when you want? So that means that if it's a Tuesday morning and your child says, hey, daddy, I want to go swimming today. Can you go swimming with your child, or do you have to say no because you got to go to work? Can you do what you want? If you can't do what you want, then you have to question how free you are, right? Or if your boss makes you mad, can you cuss your boss out and tell him to kiss your black ass and walk out the door? Or do you stop and sit down and just take it because you have a fear of what the consequences are going to look like? Well, that means that in that particular situation, you've given away a little bit of power. And in some situations, giving away power is required and necessary. And sometimes you give away power to have more power. So let me give you an example. I'm more powerful with my wife. I am more powerful because as a team, we can get things done. We have over $1 million in real estate. We've been able to kind of really do a lot of fun things as human beings, as a couple, as a team, that we couldn't do individually. They're doing it individually would have been much tougher. She makes me smarter. I make her smarter. We both got, we both have a lot of education, and we pick each other's brains, right? So, but here's the thing, I can't always do what I want. Getting married means I had to make some sacrifices. I had to make some trade-offs. I had to give up some power to have more power, right? So sometimes having more power as a team means giving up some of your power and freedom as an individual. And a lot of people don't get that. That's a real subtle point, but I really want you to process that for a minute and look at the broken Black families and look at all the power that our community loses due to a lack of unity. You get 2 people get together, they make a baby, they start fighting. Next thing you know, the baby ain't got no parent. They got a single mama trying to do it all, and daddy's off doing whatever. Only God knows what, right? And that child is going to suffer. The family's less powerful because those 2 cannot get along. A lot of us believe, and this is where white folks get inside your head. This is where they take away your intellectual power. They get inside your head and they convince you that all that matters is what the individual wants. But all that matters is that as a woman, you have a right to do what you want to do whenever you want to do it, and can't nobody tell you nothing. Or as a man, F these hoes, I can do what I want. Ain't no woman gonna tell me what to do. I ain't gonna be out here simping. I'm gonna be the man. I need y'all to submit. I need to bow down, bitches. Like you get that mindset, right? And because people are so committed to what they want as individuals, and they don't want to give up that individual power, they never get to experience the joy of collective power. You can't. It's very hard to have collective power if you are addicted to individual power. So this concept, this Americanized concept of rugged individualism, I'm gonna do it all by myself. I'm a strong woman. I don't need no man. All this other nonsense that they try to put into your head, all that does is that kills your power, because now you ain't got no man to help you. My wife, I help my wife. I defend my wife. I would fight for I would kill and die for my wife and the children. And but if she was up here talking about I don't need no man, well, then I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I'll just find somebody who needs me. You apparently don't need me, so you can fight the thugs off on your own. You can pay the bills by yourself. Okay, so ultimately, when you talk about doing what you want when you want, it requires like processing and strategic trade-offs, investments. Like that's what investing is. All investing is making a sacrifice so you can have more at the end. Right? You trade 2. You take 1 step back so you can go 2 steps forward. Or like exercise. I go through the agony of exercise so I can experience the joy of being fit and strong and in shape. Okay. Now, and I'm gonna move to the next one. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, subscribe if you haven't done it. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention yesterday. I told you guys I was gonna give you a stock pick that I liked, and I totally forgot to do it. Well, the stock is Microsoft. Microsoft is a stock that I just bought that I think is a great investment right now. I think the company's going to make money hand over fist. As soon as the economy recovers, Microsoft is going back to the moon. So there we go. Microsoft is a stock I bought yesterday. All right. So next, the next measure of freedom is, can you say what you want? Can you say what you want? So in this world, do you feel, yes or no, do you feel that we have a society that promotes the freedom of speech? It's a basic premise. Everybody's supposed to have it. It's supposed to be everywhere. Do you feel that in our society we have freedom of speech? What do y'all think? Yes or no? Okay. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I don't think we have freedom of speech. I think that freedom of speech is something that you have to fight for. you have to have power to have freedom of speech. And and so if you talk about freedom of speech is something that does exist for some people, but you have to be in a position to really truly obtain it. It's not something that's given away to everybody. It's not a welfare check. It's something that people have to really fight for, something you have to earn. I say things in this space that make people, that blow people's minds, where they're like, whoa, I can't believe you said that. How'd you get away with saying that? And really what would go through my mind is, well, the reason I do that is because I don't work for a corporation like you do, so you can't say what I can say. And you can sit back, you better be quiet. Don't you go to work and repeat Boyce Watkins language at your job, because I am the guy that will get you fired from your job. And so ultimately, when you're talking about freedom of speech tends to exist mostly for those who are financially secure enough that you can walk away from, all the financial traps that are out here to keep you quiet. Because in corporate America, you say the wrong thing, it's over. I told you guys, I was very transparent. Last year, there was a group called the A.G. Gaston Foundation. I believe that's what they're called. They're down in Birmingham, Alabama. Wonderful people. I really like them a lot. I gave a speech for them, and because I admire A.G. Gaston immensely. I think every black child needs to learn about him. He was a very wealthy man in the 1940s. This black man did amazing things. And but the next year, they were going to have me back, and they were going to pay me $10,000 to come speak. We had already made the deal. They'd already made their deposit, and something came up where somebody asked me about what I thought about Lizzo, and I said, well, Lizzo is a mixture of the Mammy and the Jezebel stereotype all rolled up into one. She's a wonderful singer. She's got tremendous talent, but I don't like the idea that record labels have convinced this black woman, this beautiful black woman, to make a damn fool out of herself because she's harming the black community. She's making us all look like clowns. She's making the black woman look like a slut. She's promoting obesity, which is killing hundreds of thousands of black people every year, and I don't like it. So I was honest about that, right? So then what happens is the white media decides, well, they want to, they defend their people, right? So Lizzo's one of their people. So the white media just barrages me, just, again, didn't do one interview with me, didn't ask me to elaborate on what I had to say, didn't ask me what my opinion was, because when you're black, they pretty much discount your intellect. They just assume I'm just some sexist, homophobe, and fat shaming, and they use all the little terms, little words they make up to try to shame people into silence. And I said, well, I'm not backing off of that point. And if you ask me to elaborate and to explain, I can explain. You ain't got to agree, but you can't disagree with me that black people aren't dying from obesity and that it's probably not healthy to tell black people that being fat is okay. No, being fat doesn't mean we should hate you, but being fat does mean you should probably lose weight because you're going to die if you continue down that path. And also, we can't sit here and pretend like they don't make black people look stupid in this damn media, and it's affecting our little girls. Why do little girls feel like they got to go drop it like it's hot and show a whole lot of ass in order to get attention from a boy? That disturbs me. That makes me very sad, because there are lots of wonderful young ladies out here that deserve love, but you ain't gonna get no love if you're showing up looking like Cardi B. I'm sorry. I hate saying it. Maybe I'm the guy that needs to be the canary in the mine or the idiot in the room. I have no idea, but I don't think it's right. It's wrong. It's messed up. It's crazy. So what happens then is, as the white media is, boom, well, this sexist, homophobe, this fat shaming professor, they didn't interview me. They just gave their interpretation of who I am. Their racism comes out because they don't like when black men are honest. They don't like black men speaking truth. They definitely don't like it when a black man is smarter than they are. So they all start attacking. And next thing I know, I get a call telling me that the black people running the A.G. Gaston Foundation are canceling my speaking appearance in Birmingham. The people in the audience love me. The people in the organization love me, but they could not have me because they have corporate sponsors, and corporate sponsors are going to go along with what they believe to be politically correct. But I did a whole podcast about that and broke that down, and I explained that the reason I don't have to back down is because I knew this was coming. I knew from the beginning, before anybody cared who Boyce Watkins was, I knew that if I go out here really telling like it is, really trying to exercise my freedom of speech, I better be locked and loaded. I better be ready. You bet. I best have my 401k straight. I better have my streams of income right. I got to have my wealth together. I got to have my power base together, because they're going to come out guns blazing, and they did. So if I was one of these black people sitting around depending on white media to get to reach my audience, or depending on white folks' money to pay my bills, you know what would have happened? I would have either not said it at all, or I would be out here apologizing and looking like Nick Cannon. That's why Nick Cannon apologized. Remember, Nick Cannon didn't apologize. No disrespect to Nick. I'm not making fun of him. I met Nick's father. I talked to him for over an hour. He's a wonderful guy, very smart black man. I think that they're trying to do the right thing. But Nick messed up because Nick was jumping into a battle that he wasn't prepared to fight. You don't jump out there and start saying these things that are hurtful truths about America and not expect them to come out guns blazing, because that white man going to protect what is his. He's just going to. I respect that, honestly. I don't even get offended. But I'm going to protect what is mine. You a man and I'm a man. And if we got to go at it, then that's cool. But you got to be ready. You got to understand this, though. When you're talking about freedom of speech, you have to be positioned to earn it. And you also have to think intergenerationally. Think about your babies and your grandkids. They're going to need freedom of speech, too. They're going to have something to say as well. And if you don't prepare them economically to have the kind of financial security necessary to walk away from all the carrots and sticks and bells and whistles that are going to be offered to them by this society, then they're not going to ever have the freedom of speech that they deserve. The Constitution don't guarantee you nothing as a black person. That damn thing was not written for you. Stop believing that all these rights are yours and I know my rights. Well, if you know your rights, then you need to know your money. If you know your rights, then you need to know wealth, because you live in not just a democracy, but you live in a capitalist democracy. America is more capitalist than it is democratic. Your politicians, in fact, are owned by the capitalists. They're owned by the corporations. So you got to understand the economics if you're ever going to have any power in this society. Okay, so let me keep going. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. So what does freedom look like? Well, or questions you should ask yourself if you want to know if you're free. 1, can you do what you want? 2, can you say what you want? 3, can you think what you want when you want? Okay, so let me ask you all this: Do you think that brainwashing affects black people? Do you think that we have a majority of our community that is severely brainwashed? See, and the power of brainwashing is so awesome. See, brainwashing, which occurs everywhere. Propaganda is everywhere. Just read the media. It's fascinating. The thing about brainwashing that's so powerful is that the best way for me to keep you as a slave is to make you think that you're free. So then there's no battle. I don't even have to fight you now, because you think that I'm your friend when really I'm the person who built the cage that you live in. You think I'm your ally because I designed you to be my slave. I built you. I am your God. You were built in the image of what I wanted you to be. So it's like if I build a car can't contemplate what it's like to be free. A car doesn't know how to sort of process its own existence. All the car knows how to do is to be a car, because that's the way we designed it, right? I hit the button, the engine turns on, I hit the accelerator, you go forward, right? Cars only know how to be cars. So a lot of people don't even know how psychologically they're constrained they are, because they were designed and built in a specific way. And you can't know what you don't know. You can't know what you don't know. Eventually, knowing what you don't know, at the very least, requires you to have an awareness that there is more to know out there in the first place, and to have a desire to know things outside of your whole sphere of existence. That's just like when I was telling you about how you got those kids in Chicago who live 15 minutes from downtown and who have never been downtown. They don't know. Some of them, unfortunately, because of the lack of exposure, they only know what's happening on O Block. They only know what's happening, between this block and that block. And that's a crime. And that's a crime, and it's a shame. And let me just tell you, when I look at the brainwashing of our people, it starts, in my view, with the school system. I believe it is something, as Black people, we got to really reconsider our overzealous commitment to sending our kids to these inferior schools run by racists who don't love our children, who teach them all the wrong things. I really think we got to reconsider that. And if anybody's watching, who's got money or clout, or maybe you got LeBron on speed dial, tell LeBron that I said that I would love to see the celebrities come together and raise $1 billion or more and hand it over, just commitment free to a group of Black educators who love the community, who are going to allocate those resources to building schools all across this country. You got all the talent. You have all the experts out here. You got all the people out here that can get it done. They just need the money. They just need the resources. Or if politicians want to ever get my vote, then all you got to do is show me where you're willing to have $100 billion in resources available for Black folks to go and borrow what they need to start the businesses that are necessary to build the community. Even if they're loans, I think loans are okay too. What a lot of businesses suffer from, what a lot of you have great ideas and you want to do the right thing. Your challenge in this generation is that you don't have the resources. White folks they guard the money. So the white boy in Silicon Valley can go raise $100 million for a stupid idea. You got a good functioning business and you can't even get $100,000. That is criminal. That is wrong. And that's slowing your community down because it requires, in a capitalist society, money is required for the implementation of good ideas that are going to be effective and move the needle for the Black community. Okay. So ultimately, when you talk about, psychological limitations, sending your kids to these schools is just terrible. And if you do, just make sure you're getting them education outside of the schools. Also, when you look at media and things like that, the control, Black ownership of media is really important because these media images get inside our heads. And so a lot of times what happens is that when you are brainwashed in a certain way, you start to form certain habits. And so some of us that could be doing amazing things, they're not doing amazing things because they formed habits that are leading them to do destructive things, right? It's hard to break out of a habit. Having a bad habit is like being in jail. If you're addicted to sex, or if you're addicted to drugs, or if you're addicted to liquor, or if you're addicted to laziness, whatever, it's so hard to break out of that. And then you can't be your best self. You are at that point a slave to the addiction. That's also why I've mentioned to you guys that drugs, if you're pro-Black, I think you should be anti-drugs, because drug addictions have been one of, if not the leading cause of the destruction of Black families over the last 50 years. Those drug addictions, they turn you into a slave because you are a slave to the drug and you can no longer be free to do the things that are necessary for your family. All right, so let me keep going. Let me hit the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com. And in case you just came in, we're talking about 5 questions to ask yourself to know if you're really free. And also don't forget, on July 7th, that is when the Black Wealth Bootcamp begins, where I'll spend 4 weeks showing you guys how to generate income by selling stock options. If that's of interest to you, then go to BoyceWatkins.com. Please go to BoyceWatkins.com if you haven't done it. Okay, so let's see. I see a comment. Sheila says, your wife had to make you get your mouth fixed. Nah, she didn't have to make me. I wanted to do that, but I'm very happy that I did. It was a tough procedure, but I'm glad I did it. All right, so number 4. So we mentioned 3 questions you can ask yourself to determine if you're free. 1, can you do what you want? 2, can you say what you want? 3, can you think what you want? That requires your ability to overcome the brainwashing. And also expose your kids to different ideas so that they can have different thoughts and different perspectives. Number 4, can you buy what you want? A lot of people are constrained from living their best life because they don't have enough money. I don't care who you are or what you believe, but never ever run around here acting like money don't matter in America. Money moves this damn country. I don't even care if you're a communist, socialist, libertarian, or whatever, or Christian, or Jew, or Muslim. Money is everywhere. So one of the things you got to stop believing, number 1, is that having money automatically makes you evil. That's silly. Get that silly idea out of your head. In fact, if anything, it is the lack of money that makes people more evil. If I'm broke, and if I'm a thug, and a broke thug is gonna come rob you. A thug that can pay the bills, he might just chill at home because he don't want to go back to jail. But a broke father who can't feed his kids is going to go do whatever's required to feed his kids. So stop acting like money makes you evil. I would say it's the lack of money that can actually make you more evil. And then generally speaking, if you're an evil person, more money might make you more evil. I have no idea. So that part is up to you. But at the end of the day, I really think we have to reframe our view of money to the point where we understand that the control of this powerful resource is one of the keys to our liberation. I really believe my vision for this segment of our community, those of you that are listening, the B1 community, Black First community, is that by the year 2050 to 2070, I would like for our people to be known around the world as being the best on earth when it comes to preparing our children to be economically intelligent. It's not hard to do. All that means is basically doing a couple of things. One, investing for your child from the time that they are born so that that money will have time to grow into a massive amount of wealth, which will give them boom, 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 firepower to fight against white supremacy. Boom, 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 firepower to fight against the political oppression. Boom, 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 firepower to fight against an abusive boyfriend. Boom, 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 firepower to fight against all of the things in this society that are going to hold them back. Or boom, 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 knock down all the obstacles that block them from their dreams. Money can open so many doors for you. So what I want you to do is I want you to give your children that feeling of knowing what it feels like to be able to pay the bills when they're due, to be able to own property, to be able to start businesses, to be able to buy shares of stock, to be able to not go to work because they don't feel like getting up that day. It's not hard to do. So again, if you go to BoyceWatkins.com, there's that ebook, the $5 a day investing plan. That's something I've been talking to you guys about a lot. If you're new here, I have to repeat it so the new people can go take a look if you want to. But go to BoyceWatkins.com. The book is right there. It's totally free. Or it's also on Amazon. You can buy a hard copy if you want, but you don't have to buy it. The ebook is free. And also, if you're on Instagram, hit the link in the bio. So ultimately, when you're talking about financial freedom, that means having financial security. It also means not having a situation where money blocks you from the things in your life that matter the most. Like, I don't know. I've seen scenarios like this. I've seen people with, happy, well-adjusted kids. You live in Alabama or something, and your kids love it in Alabama, and you're making $50,000 a year. So somebody offers you $60,000 a year to move to Washington, D.C. So you just do it. And there's no question about it because it's more money and you can pay more bills by moving to D.C. It doesn't matter if your kids are miserable there. It doesn't matter they're losing all their friends. It doesn't matter that you're adjusting to a whole new life. You'll do that because you're making an extra $10,000 a year. Well, here's the thing. If you take $10,000 a year and you divide it over 12 months, that's about $800 a month. Now, $800 a month is nothing to sneeze at. That can make a difference for a lot of people, absolutely, without a doubt. But here's the thing. If you are a person who is well-trained in investing, well-trained in all the different ways of making money, well-trained in entrepreneurship, how to start businesses, you can easily go out and make an extra $800 a month without uprooting your entire life. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't really, I'm really utterly fascinated. In 2006, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking. And I wrote that book because I didn't realize, it was when I started realizing what kind of a superpower I had amassed by becoming an expert on almost all things financial. I said, oh my God, I didn't know. I just did it because I just wanted a good job. But now I have the keys to the universe because I saw how people were making decisions that money can't buy, but they were doing it for a little bit of money. Like think about it. When you go to work every day and you're working at that job 40 hours a week, 2,000 hours a year, 20,000 hours in a decade, about 100,000 hours over the course of your life, you're giving 100,000 hours at work away from your children, away from the people who love you, around people who hate your guts in many cases. You're doing all that not so you can get rich, not because they're giving you millions, just so you can get enough money to pay the rent. I thought that was fascinating. I said, so a little bit more money, or if you talk to a college kid and you say, okay, this job's going to offer you $50,000, but this one will offer you $65,000, they'll take the job that offers $65,000, even if it's a crappy job, even if they don't want to live in that city, even if they don't want to do that line of work, but they'll do it because it's a little bit more money. And what I found is that the power of understanding wealth and investing and entrepreneurship is that a good entrepreneur would say, I can easily go make an extra $15,000 a year. That's not hard to do, And so I'm not sitting here trivializing financial challenges. We all go through those. I kid you not. We all, I get it. I totally get it. But I want you to really consider like what the world would look like for Black people if we spent as much time understanding our economics as we spend, going to church, or as much time as we spend learning how to play sports as kids. Why would a 14-year-old boy, how in the hell are you preparing a 14-year-old boy for life when he knows more about throwing a football than he knows about economic security and economic survival in a racist country that wants to destroy him? I don't get that. And the only thing I can attribute that to is habits, which goes back to intellectual freedom, right? Bad habits that are fed to you as a child. Maybe some self-esteem issues, perhaps a lack of planning, a lack of foresight, a lack of critical thinking, which again, it's not everybody's fault. It really kind of comes from society. Society does not encourage you to think critically. I am the weirdo. I know this. I'm the weirdo because I do break things down over and over and look at them, and try to really figure out, okay, so what's actually happening here? I was a weirdo when I was single and I would meet some pretty lady that wanted to, and I could tell that I could see right through a lot of stuff. And I would I would meet some pretty lady that would really want to date me and really be nice to me. And I could tell that she wanted to be around me because I have a lot of money and a lot of power. And I would just sit here and I would think, this is so fascinating to me that you're going to give me access to your vagina, which is really valuable. I mean, Black woman's womb you can't buy the value of the Black woman's womb because that's the key to life, and I'm thinking you're going to give me access to all of that. And like I could kill you, I could beat you, I could destroy your life, and you don't even know any of that because you are blinded by the fact that I have money and I have power, and that is what you want to be next to. But what if you had your own money? What if you had your own power? If you had all those things, then you wouldn't necessarily need to do whatever I tell you to do in order to get close to mine. So to me, again, I'm probably old-fashioned on this, but I think that's the job of your daddy. That's the job of your parents who brought you in this world, who are going to let you loose into this world, who should have prepared you. Prepared you, maybe, again, investing for you as a child, teaching you the keys to wealth, putting you in a position where you're not going to be running up behind some man doing degrading things just to get a couple dollars that I probably won't even give you. That because they're rappers, celebrities do that, rappers and stuff, they do, because a lot of them ain't got no money, but they know that because the women think they have money, they say, okay, they can get what they want. And then if at the end of the day, maybe he buys you a cheeseburger or something, but it's not like you're actually getting the money, right? So I just really think that ultimately, if you're talking about freedom, you got to include financial freedom in there. Let's go to number 5. Number 5 is the fifth question I would ask is, if you want to know if you're free, is can you transform your life or yourself the way you want to? Can you make the transformation? If you decide that you want to make either a small transformation or a big one, are you able to do that? If you're overweight, can you lose weight? Do you have that ability to get it done? If you are living in San Francisco and want to live in Detroit, can you go make that happen? If you don't understand a topic and you want to get good at it, do you have the ability to make that happen? And that comes back to power, which comes from a type of discipline. And discipline is really, really important when you're talking about really creating the life that you want. What I've learned is that it's really hard to change. Transformation is really difficult. And some of us become slaves to our habits. We become slaves to our addictions. We become slaves to our limited thinking. Some of that may even come back from childhood. I have childhood limitations that were put on me as a kid that I have fought like hell to try to overcome. It is hard as hell. When I was overweight, much more overweight, I'm still not where I want to be. But when I was really overweight, it was really hard to lose weight. I would try different things. I would try to get a little bit. It just didn't work. And what happened was, what let me lose weight was when I allowed my wife to tell me what to do for a while. I gave up that power so I could then have another type of power. I told her, I said, look, I'll eat what you tell me to eat. I'll run when you tell me to run. I've tried everything. I can't do this by myself. I need your help. And she said, okay. And so we started running together. And next thing you know, the weight started falling off. And what I learned from that experience was that in order for me to transform into the person I wanted to be, I had to do the impossible, which was to be a different person. And the only way I could be a different person was to allow a different person to tell me what to do. So I allowed her to almost like a possession. I allowed her to possess my body. I handed my freedom over to her and was like, look, just do with me as you will, because I need help right now. And so I lost all the weight and it felt great. And then I formed new habits and I had a type of freedom I'd never had before. I ran a whole marathon, right? And that was awesome. So here's the thing. So one of the things, I would say to you is that when you're talking about having the freedom to make the transformation that you want to make, I would encourage you to find a way to get that done. So either one, you could just learn how to have more discipline, right? That's just something that we all can benefit from in general. Discipline is critical. If you don't have the discipline, then hand over the power to people that will discipline you. If you're a man and you can't stop drinking and you can't get away from the porn, you can't get away from whatever it is that's holding you back, then find you a good woman and let her kind of help manage that a little bit in you. A good woman will make you into a better man. A good woman will actually keep you alive. Like my wife keeps me from eating the food that I want to eat. Every time, she never tells me what I can't eat, but like if I want to order a pizza or get a cheeseburger instead of eating the salad, she'll say something like, healthy choices, Boyce. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, you're right. Now, mind you, it's not that she would stop me. If I insist on getting the pizza, she'll let me eat the pizza. But just that little nudge of just being reminded, like, that this is not what you said you want to do. You're not, it's like a reminder for me to be the person that I promised myself I'm going to be. Because we break promises to ourselves all the time. We lie to ourselves all the time. I mean, how many of y'all see every year you have a New Year's resolution, lose weight, make more money, whatever, right? Everyone, I'm going to end this relationship. I'm going to get away from this terrible man or this terrible woman, right? We all do it. Everybody does it. And what I have found is that the greatest form of slavery that exists in this world is that slavery that comes from you just being stuck being the person that you don't really want to be anymore. You want to be better. You want to be fitter. You want to have more money. You want to have more confidence. You want to win more. You want to succeed more. All these other things. And you can't because you're stuck. It's hard. You're a slave to whatever construct you built in your mind of how life is supposed to be, whatever set of habits you believe you're supposed to have. So what I'm saying to you is that you got to find a process to hack that. Because here's the deal. Look, if you can hack that one part of the process, if you can find a way, if you can find your own hack, like what is it? What do I need to do in order for me to really be pushed to be a different person? Let me tell you a little secret. At that point, nothing will stop you. If you are simply able to keep promises to yourself, if you're able to be a person where if you say you're going to do it, you're going to do it. If your words are always followed by appropriate actions that will get you to the destination that you committed to from the beginning, racism can't slow down a black person like that. The haters can't stop you because all they know how to do is talk. They'll just talk about you, but who cares? Because you're disciplined. You're not a psychological slave anymore. So you're not worried about what people say. You're not worried about all this negative energy. That doesn't stop you. You're literally going to march exactly to the place that you want to be in this life. And that is when you're going to feel really confident, happy, and free because you're going to be where you want to be. You'll be able to literally build the perfect life. So I think that on today, when we're talking about the 4th of July and we're talking about freedom, I encourage you to have a deeper discussion with yourself about what freedom actually means. And I would say freedom means I can do what I want when I want most of the time. Freedom means I can say what I want and I'm not scared of the repercussions of what I say. Freedom means I can think what I want because I've trained myself to be open-minded. I can listen to a Democrat and a Republican. I can listen to a gay person and a straight person. I can hear the perspective of a man and a woman, and I'm not going to be intimidated by that. I'm going to absorb all that and then come to my own conclusions. You can buy what you want. That comes from the investing and entrepreneurship and all the other income streams and working together with other people to build wealth. And then the last piece is you can transform into what you want. That means taking the person that you are today and then writing down on a piece of paper what the ideal version of yourself looks like. Maybe that might be a good exercise that you can do today. Like literally sit down, think about 3 goals, maybe even 2. Keep it simple. 2 or 3 things. Like, okay, I want to be 50 pounds lighter and I want to be, I want to make it $200,000 a year, right? Maybe those are 2 things you do. And then go and surrender some power to people that you trust, who can then make you do things different from the way you've been doing them up until this point. Because at the end of the day, in order for the new version of you to be born, you're going to have to commit a murder. You're going to have to commit a homicide. You're going to have to kill the old you for the new you to be born, and death is painful. So you have to run up right up to yourself and stab that old son of a bitch in the neck, and so that you can become the person that you're meant to be. And that's really hard for most people to do. But if you can learn how to do that, I promise you, you'll be so much more fulfilled, so much happier. You have so fewer regrets than you would otherwise, because a lot of people out here are just stuck. All right. So anyway, long story short, that's it. That's my 2 cents for today. I would say this. Another thing I tell my daughter a lot is I give her the 3 P's of success, which is practice, preparation, and persistence. And I remind her that if you practice whatever it is you want to do or whatever it is you want to be on a regular basis, and you're always prepared for the future, that comes through things like investing, stuff like that. And then persistence just means courage and discipline to sort of fight through obstacles, that haters or barriers or whatever. Then you're going to be successful in almost everything. So I want you to succeed. God bless you. Thank you guys for listening. It was wonderful hanging out with you. And once again, the stock that I told you guys my stock pick of the day. I mentioned it earlier. I mentioned it again now. Is Microsoft. I like Microsoft. I just bought some shares. I'm about to buy some more, and I'll check back in with you guys tomorrow about the stock market and everything else. And lastly, if you want to join the Black Wealth Bootcamp that starts July 7th on how to generate income by selling stock options, it works well in a down economy. Feel free to go to BoyceWatkins.com. And also, if you're on Instagram, you can hit the link in the bio. We start July 7th at 8 p.m. We meet for 4 weeks, and everything, all the materials are yours for life. All right, guys. So I love you too. Thank you very much for your kind words in the chat. And I'll see you guys soon. And please have a wonderful day. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are having a good day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I want to say hello to everybody. And I hope that you guys are having a great day. Today is a day that I get a chance to talk about something that's important. It's a very important cause, very important issue, and it has to do with Black women and cancer. That, at least that's what's on my mind today. And so my special guest today is Miss Tiffany Stoner. Tiffany is the founder of Inga's House, and Inga's House helps women, single women that are dealing with cancer. And so before I even talk anymore, I want to ask Tiffany, how you doing today?
Doing great, Boyce. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, very well. And so, let's just start jumping in this conversation. Now you are from Louisville, Kentucky, which is where I'm from. That's where Breonna Taylor, was killed. And so there's a lot of attention on Louisville and also with health right now, with health, especially in our community, that's come under the radar, but only in certain areas, right? There's other areas that seem that they could use more attention. And so you and I had talked, and you were telling me about cancer and the challenges that single women have to endure when they face cancer and facing it alone and the difficulties of that. And so let's start at the beginning. So you had a cousin named Inga,
yes,
who dealt with breast cancer, and that inspired you to take action to help other people. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yes. My first cousin, Inga Deborah, she was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 42. And she was initially diagnosed with, initially she went to the doctor and because she had a lump come up on her breast. And during that time, the first initial appointment, they just said, oh, here's some antibiotics. It's nothing, come back later, come back a couple of weeks if you're not doing any better. Well, before she can even come back to the follow-up appointment, another lump appeared instantly. It was not like a gradual lump. It just appeared overnight. And so she went back, and the lady had asked her, started asking her more questions. Was she a smoker? Which she was. Had she ever had a mammogram? Which she did not. And then they began to run more tests because she insisted on it. And then that's when she was diagnosed with stage 3 and 4 breast cancer.
Wow. So Inga, tell me about the relationship. Was she a cousin or a very close cousin? I mean, what?
She was a very close cousin. She was my first cousin. My mom and her dad are brothers and sisters, and we pretty much grew up together. As kids. When my dad would come in town, he would always take me to my aunt, or I would go by there. So we were really close. As we got into my late teens, we really became closer. As I was going off to college, but she stayed in Louisville. And just, close, I was pretty much the confidant. I'm the social worker of the family, pretty much literally. So she would always, give me her burdens. And so with her health burdens, and I would always, try to encourage her to go see about it. But she was very health conscious too. Don't get me wrong. She was health conscious, but during those difficult moments, she would always talk to me.
Well, the interesting thing is that, I think sometimes all of us, because we get into either the strong black man or strong black woman mode, where we feel like we have to stay there like that all the time, we don't think about our health. We don't go to the doctor, may not get our checkups. We may say, oh, it'll be okay. I'll just will it away, whatever it is. So it almost sounds like she might have challenged or struggled with some of that too. Just, if you are a single woman, I imagine that's a difficulty. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, for the most part, she took, her physical, but not like a mammogram. I think at that point at 42 years old, I think I might have took mine maybe like at maybe 40, you know what I'm saying? But that's not your forefront, sort of taking your mammogram, especially if cancer is not really showing up at that time in our family. Now it's showing up more prevalent. However, I just think, we get busy. Everybody gets busy. You feel that little soreness or something like, I keep having this, but oh, it's maybe nothing. I was at the gym, or I was lifting too much weight. You just kind of make excuses and, put it off. But I'm learning, the more I get, the older I get, is that we need to really take every little change in our body more seriously.
Yeah, especially as we get over the age of 40, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So everybody who just came in, I'm speaking with Miss Tiffany Stoner. We're talking about Inga's House. Inga's House is a nonprofit organization that Miss Stoner founded to honor her late cousin Inga. What was Inga's last name?
Inga Debro.
Inga Debro, and that's Debro. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And it, rather than just allowing the grief, what I like about what you did with Inga's House is, Tiffany, is you had this tragedy, and you turned this into something that will benefit so many other people.
Yes.
So go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, absolutely. When you shook with grief like that early, young loss, you want to do something with it. You want to channel that energy other than just be complacent and just dwell in that grief, right? And so actually, initially, I started out, what can I do? My question was, what can I do in her honor? What would any young woman need to know? And I came up with actually Beautiful Know Your Worth for girls camp, all girls camp for self-esteem camp. And then as I kind of maneuvered through the camps, I did three different camps, but Beautiful Know Your Worth was in her honor. I started thinking about it. I said, well, you know what? I want to do more for the women battling cancer. And then I just started putting the ideal together, putting it in writing, actually just kind of writing it in my journal. And I just love to journal. And so I just started putting it in my journal, just talking to my Heavenly Father. And from there, actually, Boyce, I was in two car accidents within a week, April of 2019. I had a major concussion and I was healing. I had a lot of sensitivity going on. So my doctor told me to go into the woods and heal, and that's where I found myself speaking and journaling and writing. And it was just the Holy Spirit was like, hey, let's move forward. And I just started moving forward with it. And I'm telling you, this was happening pretty much immediately. Everything just kind of fall into place.
Well, what's funny, Tiffany, is as you tell the journey of how you started Inga's House, it really makes me think about just how the circle of life really works. That when you think about, for example, if something dies and it goes into the ground, that becomes fertilizer to grow something else, right? Even something as unthinkable or as uninteresting as the waste that comes from our bodies can be
Yes.
used to fertilize something else.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost seems to me that that there's no such thing as a pure negative or a pure
Oh, definitely.
tragedy or a
Oh,
pure
no.
waste. It's there's always something on the other side, and you have to do that journey to go to the other side. So when I hear you speak, and I can tell you are a woman that has tremendous spirituality. You are a person that has tremendous reflection, and also, you know, you cared about Inga as you care about the world. It almost sounds to me like your spirituality and your reflection led you down a pathway where you were able to get to the other side of that dark tunnel
Yes, it
and
led me
see.
to my purpose.
Tell me more about that. Talk about that in terms of finding purpose and how that felt for you.
Yeah, it was so much joy. I mean, when you it's when you talk about spirituality, you want to be obedient, right? And we all want to find our true purpose. And I thought I was living in my purpose. Doing social work for 25 years, helping families and kids consistently, working in my church, and I thought I was doing it. But when I came on this journey with Inga, and seeing, her struggle, seeing her argue with insurance companies, seeing her trying to maneuver with resources and financial resources and just medical resources and the best doctors, I come to find, you know what? I can use all the skills, my innate abilities, my educational background, my desire to help people and change lives. I can use all this with this. And so when I was thrust into this, I was like, okay, God, I'm using it all. I'm using it all for your good. And what I am lacking, you're going to provide. And that's what he did.
Well, everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Miss Tiffany Stoner. She is the founder of Inga's House. Inga's House is a nonprofit organization that was founded in memory of her friend Inga Debro, who died from breast cancer. And this organization, it's in my home city, Louisville, so I am feeling attached to that for a lot of reasons. And also, if you love Black women, a woman, any woman in your life,
Any
really.
women, yes.
But I'm gonna tell you the truth. But I'm a fan of Black women. I
Yes.
can't
Me too.
pretend.
I'm a Black woman.
There we go. It's okay to be Black, and But I think if you care about this, then you have to really say and act and do things that are consistent with how you feel. So everybody watching, first of all, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Please share the story with anybody that you know that can benefit from it. Also, you can make a donation to Inga's House. Inga's House, INGES. It's in the chat. INGES, IngasHouse.org. IngasHouse.org. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a donation. I'm gonna go right there right now. Right after we get done, Tiffany, I'm gonna go there and make a donation, and I hope others that are watching will follow suit. Because we gotta support our sisters that are dealing with this. You know what really got to me, Tiffany, about Inga's House and how you created it was cancer's bad enough, right? Cancer's,
yes.
I mean, I hate cancer. My late grandmother, they took her, my father, his cancer. I just can't, I mean, cancer it makes me so mad. I ain't gonna lie. When they had the vaccine for the corona stuff, just like that, I was like, y'all been working on cancer for 60 years. Can't y'all fix that too? Since we had it, why don't we throw that in there? But that's neither here nor there. But so cancer itself is bad enough. But dealing with it as a single woman, that part is something I don't think people reflect on that enough. Like my late grandmother. Yeah, my late grandmother was a single woman who she she got married at 15 and divorced at 17. and she had all her kids, and raised 5 kids by herself. And it was just, I mean, when you talk about that stereotypical strong Black grandma, I mean, she checked every box, right? And I consider it to be a compliment. My grandmother, we named the Black Business School. We named the Panther in the Black Business School after my grandmother, Felicia. That's how I keep her alive. So Felicia's always guarding over me when I'm talking. And so anyway, my grandmother, I did not know this actually until she died, that she has struggled with different kinds of cancer for like 25 years.
Wow.
And here's the thing, a lot of the strongest women they're trained early to kind of suffer in silence, you know. And
Absolutely.
my grandmother did
Yes.
that. Yeah, I
Yes.
did, you know, because I heard stories later about how years ago she had cancer and had to go get would go get her chemotherapy and then would go to work, and nobody even knew she was going to get chemo. You
My
know,
aunt, yes, did the same thing. Yes.
really. Can you
Hmm.
speak to that? Just you know, like, because I like the fact that this organization is specifically focused on the challenges of single women dealing with this, because I think that's a whole nother challenge in itself.
It is, it's definitely a whole nother medical need in itself. Absolutely. I'll say the same thing as I was just mentioning about my aunt, my mom's sister, her oldest sister. She battled cervical cancer. Nobody in the family even knew she had it, you know, until it was after, until she had went through all her chemotherapy, all her treatments. Now, I will tell you that it came back after 28 years later, it came back and it took her out within 6 months. And we knew that time around, she shared it and she was like, well, hey, I'm not going to do any more. I'm not going to do chemo. I know what I felt like the first time around. But remember, the first time around, you were by yourself and you chose not to tell anyone, right? To be a support system. And you might not would have had that much trauma had you reached out and told somebody. You didn't have to walk it alone, right? And so this last time when she came back, you know, of course we were there, but it was stage 4. You know, it was stage 4. King returned, and she was given 6 months to live, and she literally left out of here in 6 months. Um, so this cancer thing is really important to me. Matter of fact, right now my second aunt is in transition now, battling cancer. My brother-in-law has multiple myeloma, and my uncle has lung cancer, and they all live in the Louisville area. So when we talk about other issues, well, I'm thinking about environmental issues as well. You know, especially in Louisville, Kentucky. I can just tell you start naming people that are battling cancer, and I'm concerned about that, let alone just a single woman battling cancer, but environmentally, what's in the foods, what's in our environment, all the chemical plants, all these things are becoming factors that we really need to address in our community.
Well, you know, it's interesting you mentioned that, Tiffany, you know, because, you know, I mean, being in Louisville, Louisville, Kentucky's been, you know, in the national spotlight for months
Mm-hmm.
now. And because of a Black woman, Breonna Taylor, and what she went through. And and what I think is good about the conversation with Inga's House and things like Black women and cancer is I think it actually allows us to really get into a conversation where we go from, you know, Black Lives Matter to all Black Lives Matter. You know,
Yes.
not all lives matter. I ain't doing that,
Right.
but all Black lives matter, meaning that
Yes.
that there are so many women in our country that are just going through all kinds of things, and I think that it's very important, especially any men that are watching. I think it's important that we take a step back, you know, because I do believe that some of that, when they talk about, you know, male privilege and stuff like that, so, some of that is there
Mm-hmm.
in that I've noticed that the women in my life tend to pay more attention to how I'm doing than the men in my life pay attention to how the women are doing. And
Absolutely. And
you
that, and
notice
that
that.
becomes a double-edged sword too, right? Because then we have that independence up that is not we're conditioned to worry about others in our lives versus ourselves, and we're putting ourselves on the back burner and we're suffering. And I believe that is why the numbers as far as in our health, the percentages increases when it comes to Black male women. But you know, I think that's part of it.
Yeah, well, you know, and I think that what it is that's interesting too is you know, I don't think I mean when I've thought about times where I have not been able to be as sensitive or as I should be, I don't think it's always just because you know, somebody's trying to be a bad person. Sometimes you just, you know, I men, we have to learn how to be nurturers. We're not, it doesn't naturally come as part of who we are. And so when I think about the women that really nurtured me, there was never an expectation that I return the favor. I always thought of my role as the man to provide and protect, right? And we've had even a breakdown of some of that, you know,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yes.
And so I really think that when you're talking about Black women and the cancer issue, and I am also thinking about Black people and the family issue, just how men and women deal with each other, just everything from love and relationships to even how you deal with a Black woman that I keep saying black women, but I know you mean all women. I
Oh,
don't.
yes.
Yeah, but you know, how do you even deal with women that are just in your space, that are your friends, that work with you? And I think little basic things, like I started really tuning myself in to doing basic things like listening more, just checking in on people.
Yes.
Understand, I'm gonna tell you the truth. It doesn't make a big difference to me if my friends, like I have some of my guy friends, we don't really call each other and say, you know, how are you doing, man? Are you feeling okay? Like, we don't do that. You know, we say solve your own problems, right? But
Yeah,
I
you're
learned
on the surface. You were just on the surface. How you doing today?
we really do. And I'm gonna tell you, but it's like, but I really started thinking, how can I as a man do a better job in that role? And I think all men, as an aspect of self-improvement, really have to think more about these sorts of things, because you have so many women. I read a book, Black Pain, by Terry Williams. And Terry, she lives in New York, and she's a friend of mine. And she talked about how many black women are struggling with depression, and they don't even know it's depression.
Yeah,
They,
no, because
so I mean, did you want to speak to that? Please go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. I will speak to that. You know, my girlfriend, she's a counselor, a therapist as well. And we talked about just, you know, this whole myth of we have to be strong. We have to have our capes on at all times, at all costs. And from that, we don't always recognize those signs of depression. We think, oh, we're withdrawing right now. We're tired. We want to, you know, trying to rekindle, get the energy back up. But it also could be that you're start battling some depression, some anxiety kicking in. We're overloaded. We're multitaskers by nature, right? For us females. And we tend to just do, and we can handle that. But it's sometimes we must say, okay, when is enough is enough, and to take care of ourselves and give ourselves permission to do so. To say, hey, I need some help in this area, and I'll use my village. You know, I think we've really gotten away from utilizing our village, because we're supposed to be this independent, strong, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps type of deal. And we have to get back to the village, coming together and helping one another in need of crisis, whether it's a medical crisis or whether it's depression, because the depression is real in the Black community. And as a social worker, I see it all the time. I see it in the kids that I work with in the elementary school. And we just really need to say, okay, recognize the signs. Know if you're being withdrawn, you're not wanting to do some of the things that you usually enjoy, or you're not wanting to just kind of go out and be out and things normally do. You have anxiety, you might have the blues, you might say, oh, you know what, it was loss, it was grief. But after a certain period of time, you need to seek medical professional, and it's okay for that. It's okay to talk to somebody, to say, you know what, I'm going through this divorce, I had some, this is a loss, it was a grief, I'm battling this, I'm not in a good place right now. And to go talk to someone, or you know what, I just had this miscarriage, and I'm not in a good place. Go talk to someone. Or, I've got this illness, and it's hurting me because I've been so independent, and I'm such a go-getter, and I kind of my own business, my own affair, but I'm not in a position to do this right now. And it's taking a toll on me mentally and physically. Go talk to someone. And I think, we often just say, you know what, I'm gonna pray about it. Don't get me wrong, I love God more than anybody. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, I need to go talk to somebody, and I need to understand that and know that it's okay.
Well, I like that. And everybody who just tuned in, I'm talking to Tiffany Stoner. We're talking about single women and cancer. And Tiffany, in honor of her friend Inga Debro, started Inga's House, which is a nonprofit organization for single women battling cancer. So what I'm specifically doing is I'm specifically asking you, those who are watching, to go to ingashouse.org. It's spelled INGE, ingashouse.org, and make a donation. I'm going to go make a donation. I hope that you'll do the same thing. And I think that it's very important that we have these conversations. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. I want to ask everybody in the chat to also do this. Give me a yes or no if you've had anybody in your family that you know of that has struggled with cancer, or either battled it or died from it. Say their name in the chat.
Yes, please do. Say their name.
Yeah, let's bring the ancestors back to life. Say the name of the person that died from cancer. God dang it, I'm getting emotional because I want to say my grandmother's name, Felicia, and I can't talk about my grandmother that much because every time I do, I start getting choked up.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, you know what I'm talking about? I can't. it's such a it's almost embarrassing to say that, you know, because you try to be a big tough guy and everything. And I start talking about my grandmother, and I will mention her in different speeches. And
Mm-hmm.
every time I start saying her name or telling her story, I say, "Uh-oh, here it comes," and I'll be like, "Okay, I'm gonna start talking now."
But you know, in your quiet space, just hey, let it flow and let it live on. Because at the end of the day, I had the most outstanding grandparents, grandmothers. Cleta Brandon, she died from blood cancer. So you know, say their names because that is what's been our foundation. That's been our rock where we come from. There's no shame in it. We want their legacy to live on. And at the time, and that's what this is about, Inga's legacy living on. She was educating the community. She told her story. She shared every moment of her walk and her journey.
All
So,
right. Well, I see some names. I want to say some names out loud, and I'm
yeah,
trying to forget.
Sam.
I'm not because I just want you know, Tiffany, in the crazy internet space that I'm in,
Uh-huh.
if I shed a tear, I will get clowned on the internet big time. They gonna
Your
meme
Michael
me.
Jordan meme.
They will turn me into a meme. So I got to be careful here. But I'm gonna say some names, and I tell you what, I feel like when we say their names, I really feel like we're really breathing life into these ancestors, you know, like they're
Yes.
coming back, you know. And I
Mm-hmm.
see Latanya Marie Harvey, Elizabeth, Auntie Queenie. Say some more names, guys, and I'll try to mention as many names as I can. And of course, Felicia, my grandmother, Inga, who inspired Inga's house. So tell me this. So Tiffany, in your background, you are is it social work? Is that what you're trained in?
Yeah, I have an undergraduate degree in social work, but my master's in school counseling.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it almost sounds like you have also, in addition to your work with Inga's House, kind of a bent toward empowerment for maybe
Oh,
women and
definitely.
girls in particular. Can you kind of talk about that? Because you had an organization for young girls too, right?
Yes, I do. I do summer camps as well in the summertime. I do beautiful Know Your Worth, as I mentioned earlier. It's a girls camp for girls, self-esteem camp to kind of self-empowerment. We talk about knowing your worth. What does that mean? What does it look like? You know, knowing your worth as far as understanding what your thoughts are, where you want to be, where you want to go, how you're going to get there, who's going to help you. And you know, we talk about depression, we talk about anxiety, we talk about boys, you know, we talk about all these things. It's geared towards girls 13 to 18 years old. So we talk about the multifaceted. We talk about the media. What is it? The impact it has on you. What are your thoughts about yourself? Relationships, backgrounds. We talk about all those things in a week-long camp. We also do Destined for Greatness. It's an all African American males camp that I bring in nothing but African American men that they see professional Black men. They see men that's in trade, drywall, construction. You know, they see in the Black engineer, they see the MBA person, because I think it's important that we teach our kids that, hey, you can accomplish anything, but also for them to have an outlet to be able to express themselves. So that's in my third camp is Future Advocates, finding your purpose and finding your compassion, finding your passion and your compassion. And I teach boys and girls in this particular camp to about philanthropy, giving back, teaching them how to write grants, showing them, you know, how to do windshield surveys, how to look at their community and look beyond of what you're seeing and what is the needs of your community, because it starts at a young age. It's not automatic that people want to serve. You know, it's a blessing if you have that gift. God's giving you that gift, but if it's not, it has to be developed. And so just really teaching youth to be develop those skills and understand what that means to do community outreach and to give back.
All right. Well, I love that. I love that a lot. And I'm gonna
Mhm.
read some of the names. I see some of y'all put some names in here of cancer survivors or cancer victims in your family. So let's bring some ancestors back to life real quick. I see Sister Billette, my cousin Chris, and now my youngest sister Hope. Tara, the Cherokee native, says that. Cancer survivor Rose Noble, 87 years young, from Gwendolyn. Strong family history of several different cancers. Gwinnett Sutton's sister. I see Carol. I see Claire, Calvin, Tracy. Dosarine. That's a great name. And Ralph, my dad from Leela. God bless you. Beverly Jean Johnson. Oh, sorry, Beverly Jean Dawson. Excuse me. Beverly Jean Dawson. Dr. Hadia Nicole Green, a Black scientist, discovered a cure for cancer. Okay, says Tara. They will be broadcasting it. Okay, well, that would be nice. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, me
Let's
too.
see here. Let's see. All three of my aunts live well, says Dominique, and was blessed to die in their sleep. My aunt Gloria, my aunt Carol. All right. Well, Ashe, and God bless all your ancestors. And I'm gonna tell you what, Miss Stoner, I love what you're doing with Ingalls House. I think that what you're doing is great, and I'm asking everybody that's watching, ingleshouse.org, INGE. Ingalls House, INGES, ingleshouse.org, which is a nonprofit organization devoted to single women fighting with cancer, so they don't have to go through this alone. I hope that you'll support this. We have to support our own institutions if we want them to grow.
Absolutely.
And also, I did actually gather some information. I was reading some on WebMD about Black women and cancer, and of course, I'm not going to read too much about it, but I will say that the leading cause of cancer for Black women is breast cancer, and by far the most common cancer among all women, Black or white. And so that was what Inga passed from. The incidence of breast cancer is lower among African American women, yet this group has a higher rate of breast cancer deaths, possibly because cancers tend to be detected at later stages in Blacks than whites. Consequently, Black women are less likely to survive when cancer strikes. Their 5-year survival rate is 71% compared to 87% for white women. The survival rate for Black women jumps to 89% if the cancer is diagnosed. So if you get it diagnosed, then you can actually have a longer chance of survival. Yet 44% of newly diagnosed breast cancers found in African American women have spread to areas beyond the breast, compared to 35% for white women. So what to do? The breast self-exam and mammography are vital. Early diagnosis is critical. The other forms of cancer, number 2 on the list is the one that got my grandmother, which is colorectal cancer. And it's a case of good news, bad news, according to WebMD. The drop in deaths from colorectal cancer since the early 90s is the second biggest reason for the overall decline in cancer deaths among women. Yet Black women continue to be at greater risk for the disease, with a reported 46.7 cases per 100,000 for the period from 1987 to 1991, compared with a rate of 39.9 for women. So the data is a little bit old, but I think it still applies. Number 3 for cancers is lung cancer. That's the third most common cancer among Black females. It is also one of the most preventable. Tobacco smoking is the principal culprit. Lung cancer deaths among Black women may grow, given that smoking rates among African American teens have increased. The number 4 on the list is cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is one cancer that, quote, we're well on the way in this country of conquering, according to the doctor that they're speaking with here. So maybe some progress is being made. Not enough progress is being made. And so I encourage everybody to get informed about health. Get your checkups, find out what's going on with your body. Don't run away from the doctors and stuff like that. You got to go and find out what's going on and take control of that. So with that being said, I would like to give you the last word. And just so everybody knows, this is Miss Tiffany Stoner, founder of Ingalls House, which is a nonprofit organization for women, single women battling cancer. The URL is ingleshouse.org. It's in the description, in the bio. I'll put it in there, ingleshouse.org, INGE. Please make a donation. I will make a donation. So Ms. Stoner, did you have any final thoughts?
Yes, I just want to also say that we really have to also watch our diets, in the Black community. I can't say it enough. Sugar. Cancer feeds off sugar. Inflammation in the body. Sugar creates inflammation in the body. We have to make sure that we're on an alkaline diet. I can't stress it enough. Greens, veggie, you can have meat, but at the same time, you don't need too much meat. So I'm just going to tell you that our bodies are made to heal themselves. If we making sure that our body's intact on a cellular level, then we would do our body more justice. And so I know that it's hard, and sugars, is one of those things we won't have sugars in everything. So, but if we do a better job with our diets as well and reduce our stress and exercise, we will be ahead of the game. And once again, prevention. Educate yourself.
There we go. Wise words. I love it. Everybody, please join me in giving a digital round of applause to this Black woman who is doing something great with the world. She took the tragedy of her cousin's death and turned that into something that will benefit many people's cousins over time. Ingalls House is the foundation is based in Louisville, Kentucky, the same city that Breonna Taylor died. And I'm from Louisville, so I'm very proud of Louisville. I'm wearing my Ballard Pasco.
Yes, I see that. I see that.
Yeah. So that's close to my heart too. But I'm gonna go make a donation now. I hope you guys will go to ingleshouse.org, INGES, ingleshouse.org, and just put something in the pot. Let's create our own institutions, and we have to do that. You guys know, you might know the cost model of freedom that we actually create. I don't talk about it much, but it's something we talk about a lot in the Black Business School, which is cost stands for, if you want to pay the cost for your freedom, cost stands for contribute, own, save, invest, target. So contribute means that if you want Black institutions to grow, we must be the benefactors of those institutions. We must pay it forward to build the institution. So the contribute part is the first part of the cost model. So let's pay the cost for our freedom, and let's also stand by our awesome women in the community, especially like Miss Stoner. So Miss Stoner, I'm gonna have you back. I can tell you smart, very well spoken, and you got a lot going on. You got English, you got all those camps, and so tell me,
I'm busy.
Everybody say something in the chat. Let me know if you think I should bring Miss Stoner back. I think she's a smart lady that has a lot of great things to add to the world. So we can talk again in the future. So anyway, guys, hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and God bless you. And the URL is right there in the chat, ingleshouse.org, INGES. Please feel free to make a donation, and we are out of here. You guys have a great day, and we will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Record, man. What's your name, bro?
Marlon Jackson.
Marlon Jackson. Just like the dates from the Jackson 5.
That's like Marlon Jackson. I was here first.
Oh, okay. You were here
first. Named after him.
And you said you're 62 years young.
And I never had a job. I just go live where there's an economy.
Wow.
As consumers are, that's what you need if you have a product or service, someone who can buy it.
So you wasn't looking for a check or a job. You was looking for a consumer.
I'm looking for some money.
All right. So, and you learned at an early age that you don't need a job to get money.
Well, I saw my dad, who was a strong Leo man, worked at the steel mill. And what happened was they laid everybody off when the Vietnam War went over, and all these men became punks and weak, and the women were taking care of them. And I said to myself, man, I'm not going to give nobody a chance to fire me.
Wow.
And I'm not going to do it, because it broke my heart to see my dad, become this, because all he knew was steal. He didn't know anything. They didn't train him to do anything else. And he died early at 55. I mean, it really, that's when the wino got started, because all these guys who got laid off would just sit around drinking wine and playing checkers, and you know what I'm saying?
Right. Wow.
And just giving up on life because they didn't know what else to do.
Wow. So for you, being an entrepreneur wasn't just about money, it was about preserving your manhood.
Yeah, man, I'm not a good man. I can't work for nobody.
I love it.
I can't have a boss.
All right, man. I love it.
My kids got something to do. I want to go see it. I don't need to go to nobody to ask for permission.
Right on. So did you feel like the majority of the men have that mindset? Or do you think it's the opposite, that the majority?
Well, I think we mess our little man up because we tell them to get a job, we tell them they need to work, and those are slave terms. We need to tell our young kids, you need to make some money. And so their minds will open up and they can start innovating, because it's hard to get a job when 10 million people are applying for the same job. And we do this to our kids, man, and these kids almost like, I'd rather go smoke some weed.
Wow.
Than try to compete with a bunch of everybody with applications standing in line for 2 or 3 days, you know what I mean? And they could have been using that same time to go out here and wash windows or clean cars. I know a guy at the car wash up here makes $400 a day. He just sits out there. People come consumers who don't want to clean their own car.
Wow.
And he makes about $20 a car, and he's making $400 a day. He don't have no overhead, but you just got to make money so that we can free our mind.
Wow.
Because work and job are slave words. That's what slaves do.
Wow, man, you preaching. It's funny. Did you catch the speech I gave?
No, I didn't.
That's what's funny. You didn't hear the speech. I was talking about this, but you didn't hear preaching.
I know Ron. I'm his personal assistant. So
okay.
Ron's from Oakland. I'm from Philly. I'm Malcolm X. He's Black Panther.
Wow.
So we get it,
man.
We're just trying to get everybody else to get it.
Well, you preaching to me, man, and I learned a lot of my manhood from the big brothers like yourself that teach me what manhood really looks like. We don't.
If you don't mind, please. I do taxes, and the people who work for all these years, man, by the time they get retired, they're so beat up from working all them years, and they ain't making as much money, and they're like the slave that you said, you're free now. And then you tell the retired person, you're free now, you ain't gotta work no more. Man, they gotta figure out what to do with 10 hours a day.
Wow. Well, and no,
that ain't easy.
And no skill in terms of how to make their own money.
How to do something else.
Wow,
so
man.
Then they end up working at Walmart.
All right, but I'm gonna let you get that call.
What I would like to share is that this program, you don't have to be educated to be into this program. It's a mindset to change your mind of your thinking. At the standpoint, I know there are a lot of people may not want to be involved because they think you have to be educated, you have to be smart, to get to be successful. But I just want to share that you have to change your mind. And my being here, it totally changed my mind. Being here, learning what I've learned, that I could able to share to some of my family, friends, and also the community. So I encourage everyone that who don't know about this program, to get to know about it, get into it, come aboard. And I guarantee you have your mindset will change. And if you want to be wealthy, it's all up to you to do so. But I urge that anyone or anybody wants to get involved.
My name is Donna Rosby. I am from Sacramento, California, born and raised from Oakland, and I am a registered nurse. I am a member of what's called the Nursing or Real Estate Investment Club, but on the sideline, I am an investor in the stock market. So I actually have 4 investment clubs. I've been following Boyce for a few years now. I enrolled in this class. I unenrolled now because now I teach it. I actually consult with stock clubs, so I have ladies who have 4 groups now that I consult with the stock market. My clubs are very successful, and most recently I funded my first real estate club. It's called Funding the Block, and we are hard money lenders for real estate. So that's new in my genre. Me and Tasha McCrae, we do seminars. So learning about and teaching generational wealth is my forte. My 501c3 is going to be Dollars Have a Destination, which I'm going to educate children. I'm going to have a bus, and we're going to go to the cities teaching financial wealth, financial education, financial literacy. I have 3 books. Mrs. Dollar is my second name. So I've learned a lot, and I know that we have to keep this going. So making money is the easy thing. Finding money is easy for me, and then bringing people together so that other people can do the rest is what's worth. So Boyce has really pushed me over to the next stage. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Jason. I'm from Sacramento, California, and I was invited to the Freedom event by my daughter, Catherine Sylvester, and it has been absolutely wonderful. If you're looking for freedom or trying to retire, this will be a great event to engage in, to learn about finances, clearing your credit, and actually having your income to come into your life so you can help others and to leave something for your family down the line, generation.
There we go.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Butler. I'm from Alexandria, Virginia, and I'm in human resources, but what I'm really trying to be is free. And I came to the Freedom School actually through Dr. Boyce Watkins, watching some of his YouTube videos and whatnot, and one day I tuned in and I found Julian, and it just reconnected me with something that I've been wanting to do for years. So I called my daughter and said, hey, how about we start doing a better job at building our, family wealth and our financial freedom. So here we are. We're having a great time, great information. So many great people have come in from all over the country, and the information is just, it's building on top of what we've learned online and otherwise. So we're really happy to be here.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Can you tell the audience your name and where you come in from?
All right. My name is Kyle Dixon. I'm coming in from New York City, Harlem.
All right. What do you do?
I'm an educator. I also have my own business. I'm a co-founder and operating officer for Precise Minds Filmworks.
All right. And why did you decide to come to this event?
Well, I decided to come to the event because, I mean, Julian, the brother's amazing. He knows what he's talking about. Dr. Boyce Watkins, I follow him on YouTube and on social media. And these brothers have a lot to offer to the community as far as their information about real estate investing and just having a freedom lifestyle and investing not only in your community, but really in yourself. So I had to come and see them face to face and be with other people, like-minded folks as myself, to be able to be a part of that experience and talk with them and see what ideas they have as well.
All right, and what was your experience with being here the last 2 days?
Oh man, it's been an amazing experience. Like, I'm so glad I came. I was maybe a little hesitant at first, but I'm so glad I came because, I mean, just the knowledge and the wisdom and just the camaraderie with everyone here. Not just Dr. Boyce, not just Julian, but like everybody met here from people from New York, people from Chicago, Las Vegas, Houston, Nashville, California, and like we're all just here to really see each other succeed. That, you know, you need those things, and it just breaks the narrative like that black folks can't work together. We're doing that. We're working together, and we want to see each other be their successful selves and invest towards their freedom. And it's just a beautiful event. I advise anyone who's thinking about coming to the next one that they definitely need to come down here. And we got a chance to go into the second line. We had our own second line. Oh man, that was my Sunday right there. I'm good.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
My name is Lori Mile. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Go Blue. I'm a an entrepreneur. I do Amazon selling and I do some Uber driving.
Okay, well, tell us why you're here today and what you look to get out the weekend.
I came to find freedom. Find the road to freedom. That's what I'm looking for. And I believe Julian is going to help me make that transition.
Okay. And what do you think about the event so far?
Love it. I've enjoyed it. So much information. I'm gaining knowledge. I just have enjoyed it immensely.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Lori.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, I'm Monique Lyons. I'm from Alexandria, Virginia. I'm the spirit of generational wealth. I came down with my mom to New Orleans. It's been a great experience. She's the one who introduced me to the Health Freedom School and the webinars and getting on track in terms of growing my wealth. So far, the day has been great. A wealth of information on growing your wealth, returns on investment. I'm excited to get back home so I can figure out what the next step is. So doing this with my mom is probably also valuable to me because it's something we get to build together. So I'm excited. I definitely recommend it. So good luck to everyone and start growing that wealth.
My name is Olivia Mitchell, and I came here because I wanted to invest in myself. And by investing in myself, I feel like I'm also invested in my family. And I think over the course of these past 2 days, that's been ingrained in me from Julian's words, from Dr. Watkins' words, and it's going to be extremely valuable for me throughout this next decade, really, not even the next year. I'm thinking further and farther and beyond what I did before. I feel like my mind has been open, my perspective has been shifted, and I'm open to doing things differently than what I've been taught previously. So I'm going through an unlearning and expanding my horizons.
Hey, man.
My name is Robert Porter, and I'm here with my wife. I just wanted to let you know that you were awesome yesterday.
So Nicole Compton.
Nicole, you was just awesome. You got me thinking on how to set my estate now and how to start planning for my investment. You know, right on. We will be in touch with you. That is for sure. Bless you for everything you're doing. Thanks so much.
All right, my name is Ronnie Carter. When I first joined the group, I put a contract on a fourplex, closed on it, got 4 units, 4 people in there, and then I just I put in a contract, I put offers in for several other properties. I just got one accepted for a duplex. So I'm hoping to close that within the next maybe 30 days. So that's fresh. I got a couple other offers out there too. So this is what I've learned through the program, and just asking questions to like Facebook and other platforms we have. Man, I'm on fire. I'm hitting it heavy. So I'm looking to hit that $1 million soon.
All right, what did you think about the event this weekend?
The event this weekend was amazing. It really has something for everybody, no matter what their level is, their exposure to real estate, personal finances, and business finance. So, I mean, it was really good. Nothing like being around like-minded people. So it was great. I love it. I can't wait till next year or whenever the next one is.
All right, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.
What's your name and where are you coming in from?
All right, my name is Shadrika Jackson. I'm a native New Orleanian, but I'm now residing in Houston. So for this particular experience, I'm looking forward to becoming an investor in the Houston area for now, and maybe the area of New Orleans later.
What made you choose to come to this event?
Coming to this event is very inspiring. After having experienced the event that you hosted back in September, it was another opportunity for me to get some questions answered, for me to get some clarity on some things as it relates to changing my financial mindset, investing in my future through the 3 pillars of wealth that you mentioned and you teach in your program. So it's another opportunity to be surrounded by like-minded people.
All right, and what did you get out of your experience this past 2 days?
Oh my gosh, there were so many ahas in this particular program, but just the idea that I have to change my mindset in terms of when you're thinking in investing in real estate or even in investing in the stock market, you have to get away from what it looks like on the outside and look at its true potential and what its true potential will be able to do to affect your life financially and then allow you to affect generations that come after you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Shadrika.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Sean and Latanya Arthur, Charlotte, North Carolina. Why we came to the event, we joined back in July.
Probably around July.
Yeah, and we saw something in the whole program itself because we needed to change one, but we saw the promise in it in doing something different, and thinking different, and being different, and approaching money differently. And so we decided to come out to the event to kind of get around people like mine, and it's been phenomenal. We have a plan now approaching how we go back, the things that we do, the next steps, and so this has just been great. So thank you, Julian and the crew. Really appreciate you, and we're looking forward to working with you guys further.
All right. Thank you so much.
It's not about billions and billions of dollars. Hey, that would be nice too. But it's about getting yourself in a position where you own something that you can actually get off the plantation and start living the life you want to live. I would recommend to everybody, go to the Black Business School, check out the multifamily movement, all the courses that Dr. Boyce Watkins offers. You will not be disappointed. Freedom!
All right, how are you doing? My name is Aaron Dorsey from Chicago, Illinois. I am a electrical engineer in the power industry, and one of the things that we learn in undergrad in a profession or either being a teacher or a 9-to-5 professional, we learn how to work for others, but we don't learn how to work for ourselves and take the things and the skills that we built into our 20s and once we get into this brave new world, how to basically build for our families, for our communities, and the things that are going on here with the multifamily movement, with the Black Business School, are giving us the additional tools to empower ourselves, the things that we didn't get that should have been implemented into our psyche, into our being earlier on to give us a lot more autonomy, power, and essentially that time, freedom to do the things that we would love to do, the things that we're naturally born to do, to create, to live in truth. So that's what this entire process means to me, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, hey, my name is Avis Blackwell. I live in the Bay Area in California, and I actually follow Boyce Watkins on Facebook. I kind of keep track of what he's talking about. That's when I was introduced to Julian. And I just thought, boy, he's somebody I need to get on board with. Everything he said, I absolutely agreed with. So when this seminar came up, I immediately put my money on it because I thought this will be a good time for me to kind of meet other people and see what they're talking about and what they're doing. This has been the most fantastic. This has been the most fantastic experience, and it lets me know that I'm moving in the right direction. This is mostly for my daughter and my granddaughter. I want to set them up for future, for them to live well in the future and not be strapped down to a job like I have my whole life. So I'm very excited. I have met so many fantastic people. This whole thing has been unbelievable. I am so happy I'm here.
All right, can you tell us your name, where you coming in from, and what do you do for a living?
My name is Chris Chappelle. I come from Hammond, Louisiana, and I'm an assistant professor at Southern University.
Okay, perfect. And why did you decide to come to this event?
Because I wanted to be around like-minded people who not only have a passion for real estate, but also coming and knowing that I'm going to gain the knowledge base that I need and connect with people from all over the country. I promise you this is an absolutely wonderful event, one of the best that I've ever been in my life, and I've gained so much, and I'm energized to go back and share this with my family and the rest of my community.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Christina Williams, and I'm from the Tampa Bay, Florida area. Why I came to the event, because I thought this was like exactly what I needed. It's a confirmation of moves I need to be making in my life and letting go of fear and just deciding to make the changes right now. And what was the other?
What did you get out of the event?
What did I get out of the event is changing my mindset. Being around like-minded people, and I know that I am a big fish in a small pond, and this is confirmation that I need to be around people that are in the same mode of thinking, because that's going to help me go to the next levels and let go of the things that are holding me back. So it was a pleasure.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, can you tell us your name and where you're coming in from?
My name is LaTanya Arthur. I go by Coach T, and I'm coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina.
And why did you decide to come to this event?
I came because there's nothing like being in the room. We're on social media and we're making connections. However, when you get inside the room and you feel the energy of everyone moving in the same direction, there's nothing else like it.
All right, what did you take away from the event?
What I took away from the event is we already own a single-family property, and we've got some equity in it. And subconsciously, I think we've been just sitting on it, not wanting to take it out. And after listening to Julian on the stage, it's like, what are we waiting for? Pull the trigger, take the money out, and have it work for you. So that's the biggest aha is, we're ready to move forward.
All right, and would you recommend this event to anyone in the future?
Listen, you better get here. You better get here. Absolutely, it is a must see, like a major event. You get here.
All right, thank you so much.